We call our meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So it's a beautiful afternoon, and I know everyone couldn't think of anything better to do than come to City Hall for our Planning Commission meeting. And so, on behalf of the Planning Commission, let me welcome you to our Planning Commission meeting for July 14th. Sort of like the last day in a month that this could be, because it's the second Tuesday. So if it's the 14th, I guess you could deduce 2 times 7 is 14. So anyways, so welcome aboard. For those that haven't been with us before, our typical procedure is to sort of a new member. He came to our first special meeting, and that would be Randy Miller. Randy comes to us with a lot of business experience. He was with Deloitte for a bunch of years. He's an engineer, then began his own advisory company, which he did for many, many years. Lived in Germany for a while. Came back to the States, moved to Bloomfield Hills, and it's been his home for years. So, and then we have Lee Esquire. Lee is joining us. Lee is a long-term resident. He grew up here and knows the turf really well. Lee was schooled in this area and runs automotive dealerships. So if you want a Mercedes, call Lee.
We'll sign everybody up at the door.
There you go. Or maybe he'll start giving us deals on cars here. We'll have to see.
Goes without saying.
But we welcome Lee aboard too. So the first order of business is to review and approve our minutes from our last couple of meetings. And the first was our regular meeting on June 9. I guess I would open it up for any comments or a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Okay. Second? Second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Second is for a special meeting that we had on June 18th. And I guess I'd open that up for a motion to approve or any comments.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. First item is the Planning Commission will consider the request of the property owner at 63 Scenic Oaks Drive for approval to install a fence in the side yard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jill Boehm, planning consultant with Giffords Webster. Have been, just for our new members' benefit, working with the city since 2017, along with Eric Peach and Ian Hogue from our office. We have 3 items tonight, and maybe not coincidentally because of the heat outside, but they're all related to pools. I thought it was great as we were pulling this agenda together. So the first one is 63 Scenic Oaks, and we'll jump right to it. This project is for a pool fence. This one has just about 37 feet in the side yard of the property. So again, for our new members' benefit, we typically go through a couple of slides. We'll give you the location, the highlights from the review letter, and then we'll ask if you have any questions of us, and then we'll have the applicant typically come up and fill in the colors and the details and answer other questions, maybe from a design standpoint that you might have. So here we have this pie-shaped parcel on Scenic Oaks. It's zoned A6. It has one standalone single-family home, and there you can see it. A little bit bigger picture location here. We also include the yard map. This is our big visual aid to help us determine compliance with the zoning ordinance. So again, we're turned just slightly different from the previous view, but north is up this way. Here's Scenic Oaks, and we look at a line that runs parallel to the front street line at Scenic Oaks. So because it's a cul-de-sac, we also have a curved, it's just really, oh, there we go. And then we go right up to the front of the house. So we have the front of the house, and then we have the backmost portion of the house, and that's our line, which is parallel to the front. Back from that is the rear yard. So that you can see, the pool here really is in the rear yard, and effectively, you know, most of this is the rear yard from a practical standpoint, but from the ordinance standpoint, we have a portion here that is considered to be the side yard. And so this little bit of the fence is the part that we're talking about. So when the Planning Commission does its considerations, we have that outlined in the letter on page 2. There's several items, but typically we tend to focus on what's really the impact to the adjacent properties, and how do we address that, typically with landscaping and screening. So again, we're turned a little bit different. Now we have north is over this way. So we're looking at the backyard of this house, but you can see the line here where the side yard and the rear yard is. And again, that's based on this line being parallel to the front line. We have these little corners here. Just by way of explanation, because I know this can be kind of a lot for new members, but if this line was back, you know, say this house was maybe more like this, and it didn't have these projections, now you'd have, you know, this line would run a little bit differently. So we have this side yard situation here. The applicant is proposing some landscaping to enhance this patio area, but then some additional 12-foot high giant green cedars to really minimize the impact on the adjacent property here. And I think that's all I have for the side yard fence, because it's pretty minor. I don't know if you have questions for me, if you want to move on to the engineering points on the drainage.
The
Either way.
landscaping was on the interior of the fence?
It is, there's some on the inside, and then there's these giant green cedars that are on the outside. In which? Oh, and the vacant lot next door. I can go back and show that. So that's in here.
So there's currently no neighbor there. It's just an
Correct.
open lot.
Yeah, and you can see the line here is the property line. So although there's no one there now, we should be mindful of the future and not be burdening someone in the future from that. So I think having these 3 giant cedars here in this location does a nice job of supplementing what's there, and you know, maybe some of this vegetation would remain with the new construction, but I think that helps there as well. Any other questions for planning? Okay.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
Jill, you said I see the green giants, but the greenery around the pool is in the inside, the outside of the fence?
There's additional, the green cedars here, and then additional ones over here, and then some additional spruces.
That's what
Looks like
it-
Oh,
yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
That's it's a full one? It's on the outside, correct? Okay.
And that's the rear yard as well. I think if the dashed line is the setback line, so this part back here would be considered your required rear yard, and then this part is your non-required rear yard, and that's where the pool is supposed to be, and that's where it's located. But the fence can go anywhere in that back area.
And does the boxwood come up to the top of the fence?
We're good?
Okay.
Leah?
Good afternoon. I'm Leah Michaels with HRC. We complete the engineering reviews for the project. Engineering, we focus on utilities in the area. We also look at proposed grading to ensure that they're not proposing changes in topography more than 2 feet, either filling or cutting the land. And then one of our main focuses is looking at how stormwater will be affected by the improvements that the applicant is suggesting. So a lot of the slides that I share show what the stormwater improvements are that are proposed by the applicant. So for this specific property, they are proposing a leaching basin in this area. So I do highlight areas of swales, so those are kind of lower areas in the grass that will help to bring the water, direct the water to where the applicant would like it to go before entering into storm sewer or neighboring properties. The goal is that homeowners maintain as much runoff as they can on their own site. So we often use leaching basins, which are large openings in the ground. There's a detail on here that has stone around it to really absorb the water, let the water penetrate back into the ground before it leaves the property into neighboring properties or into private and public storm sewer systems. So the applicant will propose what they want to do, and HRC, as the engineers, we review to ensure that, given the magnitude of what they're adding, that their proposal fits the new runoff that is proposed. So for this one, we are comfortable with what they are proposing. And then there's no other items as far as grading or utilities. We also look at retaining walls too. That's part of our review. So no other items for this specific property.
It seems like it really wouldn't have anything to do with us considering the fence, though, right? I mean, it's great that this is in compliance, but I don't think it has anything directly to do with what we're being asked to vote on.
Correct. We review as the whole project. So because they're proposing the fence and patio and other additions in the rear yard, our overall review looks at the whole project. So planning commission members often ask about what type of stormwater improvements, so I like to point to those.
I'm assuming we were within the open space ordinance requirements, is that correct? They're compliant?
Okay, thanks, Linda. Is the applicant here?
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Mosier with Mosier Design Landscape Architecture. Really a straightforward one in my opinion. So there's no other place to tie this fence back into any further out from the house. So naturally this makes sense. And like always, we proposed adequate evergreen screening, although there is no neighbor. And like always, working with the city and you guys to make our requests as reasonable as possible. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on this one. I think it's fairly straightforward, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
We're good. Thank you. Good. Is there anyone in the audience that has comment on this? Okay. How about on the commission? Any other questions or anything on this? I have a couple questions. First is, and these are more sort of procedural. One is, this went to ZBA before it came here. And so we've had a long-standing policy for as long as I've been on this commission that they come to planning before. And it's not just this one, there's another application in this group that went to ZBA too. So for as long as I've been on this commission, we have a policy that it comes here before ZBA.
Well, I don't know of a policy, but I do know that the last time I was here, it did cause a lot of sort of misunderstanding about what the planning commission was looking at in particular. And this item in general, this item in particular, was only in front of the planning commission for the fence last time. So, you know, we wanted to make this legally compliant or a legal issue, resolve all those variances first, and then bring it back to what the planning commission was originally looking at and would look at now to make it just a easier sort of approach.
It's fair, but I mean, and I don't want to, I guess, dive into details. I mean, this is our planning policy. And
Yeah,
it's-
that's an administrative policy that I created.
Well, I mean, we've been doing this for 17 years, as long as I've been on this, so, but,
I don't know if that's true.
well,
I just kind of looked at it as,
that's fine. I guess I'm
I'm
raising,
happy to talk to you about it afterwards.
okay,
Yeah,
I just,
absolutely.
I was curious.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a change, and, yeah, I think it's a good change, but I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, with respect to the pool, in that pool house, I did want to make one point, because there was discussion about that pool house when this application was in front of us the first time.
Yeah.
So it was regarding the fence, and as that issue surfaced, then several of the commissioners raised issue about whether or not there was something else that should be considered with respect to the master deed. And I think it's important to realize that, and I've always maintained we should, and I just thought for the record, we should understand. So, and I'm just gonna read this into the record.
What ordinance are you looking at, sir?
This is section 24-245. And this applies to all condominiums, residential condominiums. You can have office condominiums too. But what it says under item 1 is, it says the application for site plan shall include the proposed master deed. Then it goes on to say the master deed shall be reviewed by the planning commission as deemed appropriate with respect to regulations by the city, including without limitation, ongoing preservation and maintenance of drainage, retention, wetlands, natural areas, common areas, maintenance, and so forth. And then at the end, it goes on to say, the last paragraph is, so once a master deed is approved, and a master deed isn't just the language, with every master deed, there's an Exhibit B. And the Exhibit B to the master deed includes a site plan. So the site plans that we approve, that's in a master deed. It's the Exhibit B to the master deed. And so when you change that, that's a recorded document. And in this particular one, I went back to the original approval for this. And one of the issues was the 100 feet. And in fact, at the time, the city attorney, Bill Hampton, he indicated the master deed must be provided to the city attorney as a condition of approval.
Was that approval for the full site plan?
Pardon me?
Was that approval for the condominium site plan?
Yes, yep. And
So the difference here, I think, is that
Well,
they
if-
removed the pool house, so they.
I know, and I understand that, Dave, I just, because it,
Can I clarify the second point, though?
Sure.
Is, because you read the ordinance, but the ordinance really has to do with the full site plan. So when folks want to come back to get a fence approved, that's not a full site plan review.
so in this circumstance, so my point is,
I just wanted to clarify that.
I agree, but
Okay.
originally, there was there was, I'll call it lack of agreement on whether or not the master deed was relevant. So in this case, where that pool house was in the 100-foot, that would have changed the master deed. That would have changed the site plan, which would have required an amendment to the site plan
If the pool house wasn't,
if the pool house.
Okay.
So there was some discussion, should we be looking at the master deed? Is it relevant? So I'm just making the point, as we go forward, if you change a site plan, it impacts the master deed. And, because we've talked about this before, well,
Sure,
should we
yeah.
look at the master deed? And so these are the rules. And I just wanted us to make sure we understood that going forward. But
Well,
here,
I did understand it. I just knew that the pool house was removed, and certainly the master deed can be applied in the specific situation here too, I think.
yeah, in this circumstance,
Yeah.
unless there was some provision in their master deed, which would almost be, unless the city stipulated there were no fences permitted in this subdivision, and that was part of the master deed, this is a simple request, just as we're treating it. So we're doing this the way we should do it.
I think we're on the same page.
Yep,
And
okay.
I hear what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
so those are just 2 points
Sure.
I wanted to offer. There's no other questions or anything, I guess. Is there a motion, or?
I'd make a motion to approve the proposed fence as submitted in the application.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Perfect. So our next item is the Planning Commission will consider the request of the property owner at 355 Martell Drive for approval to install a pool and fence in the side yard.
Another pool.
Jill, you're on again.
Another pool. This is for the pool. There's a portion in the west side yard and then the pool fence also. Again, locating us, here we are on Martell. Is our subject site. An aerial, to kind of give you the context of what the other homes and lots look like. Zooming in a little bit more closely. Also, as you noted, did go to the ZBA with respect to the setbacks. So the proposal here is for a pool, and I think when you first look at the layout of the house, you think, where is the pool gonna go? Because the way that the site, the lot is situated, the house is further back than maybe the other, and you can kind of see that on the other lots. The pool is actually gonna go back here. It's a pretty small situation here. As you can see the yard map, as we have the front yard, the side yard, and again, because of the way that the house is situated on this property, and the way we define the rear yard as being from the furthest point of the house away from the front yard, this becomes our rear yard area. So again, probably from a practical standpoint, most of this whole area, these folks probably consider to be their backyard, but by the ordinance, it's back here. So here's the pool. There's an existing fence, and then there's this little bit of side yard fence here, and then a little bit of side yard fence over here that connects with an existing fence that starts kind of in the middle of that area. When we zoom in, you can see a little bit more closely. This is the existing rear yard screening on the south. This is the west property line again, hedgerows and existing vegetation there. And then some mechanical screening equipment that's there and screening on that as well. That is essentially it for the pool and the fence, and there is a drainage item as well to be discussed. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the pool.
Can you show us the fencing,
Yeah.
just the overall plan, so we can see
Yeah.
where is this fencing going?
So the fencing is, the blue is existing back here, and then this purple pinkish color is the proposed.
What purpose does the blue fencing that's existing serve currently?
That,
Want me to answer that?
No,
The
no.
neighbor's yard's fences.
okay.
Yeah, actually,
back.
we'll come to you
Yes.
when it's time.
Right, so those would be for back here, and then in this area, and then over along this lot line.
But none of that's existing now, right?
The blue is, yes.
Oh,
The blue
oh,
fence.
that's all there.
That's all there,
But
Okay.
that's not owned by 355 Martell, it's owned by a
correct, it's the
different.
neighbor's fencing.
So they're tying into the neighbor's fence?
We can ask the applicant to further,
Sorry.
Well, I guess what I'm confused on, because I looked at this site, and there's a 4.5 foot tall fiberglass fence right now, sitting on this lot.
I don't,
It-
I agree with you, it's there.
And
Yeah.
I guess, so I'm looking at this aerial. Can you go back?
Yep.
So when I went out there, what I found was there's a 4-foot tall fiberglass, 4.5-foot tall fiberglass fence sitting where that purple is. And then we've got all this hardware. There's air conditioners, there's generator, and there's some things I'm not sure what they are. Do you know what any?
Let's have the applicant.
So you don't?
You
Oh,
through that.
well, go back to that picture a second.
This one here.
Okay, so well, no, that's because when you pull up, you don't really. I don't know if that's the view. Is that the driveway?
Yeah.
I'll have you
Okay.
I think that'd be better.
Okay. Well, before he does it,
Yes.
let's go to Lee.
Okay, perfect.
Let's do Leah. Okay.
Okay. Similar to the last applicant, this one we focused on drainage related to the new pool, which is kind of tucked in where their existing patio is. So it is replacing some existing patio. I believe this is the line of where the current patio goes. So the new pool is kind of getting tucked in there. So with this addition, the applicant is proposing a leaching basin, which we have the detail here. Again, very similar to other ones we've seen, an area that additional stormwater can collect in before running off the property. So we feel this is sufficient for the little pool area that they're adding to the property. And I know the applicant can give you kind of more specifics on square footage of that area.
Any questions for Leah?
Thank you.
Okay, the applicant here.
Good afternoon, Alan Izember, Noack and Frous. I'm gonna go back a couple pictures here. So let's start with this fence that we're looking at, which I believe is the fiberglass fence you're talking about. So this is standing on the driveway, looking toward the south property line. Behind this fence is where the existing air conditioning unit and generator and things sit. The new fence for the pool, being that pink portion, is going to enclose the other side of that mechanical garden.
So that plastic, the fiberglass fence
Sits right in here right now. So then this new fence is proposed to come behind the backside and tie into the existing blue fence at the property line.
So under our ordinance, as I looked at this, there's a couple things going on. Under our ordinance, we can't have a fence taller than 4 feet. This is not a rear yard, so we shouldn't have a fence taller than 4 feet. And then, have you been out to the site?
I have
Can
not
you tell me-
measured the height of that fence.
So what are all these things? I got this. Can you look at my phone?
Yeah.
Tell me come around here. You could tell me what I'm looking at. Because under our rules, AC units are supposed to be within 5 feet of the house. Or generators, AC units, it's all supposed to be within 5 feet of the house. And so these are these AC units.
Yep.
Here's this generator. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 more. What are these things?
That is a great question. I'm assuming it's
This
some
look-
kind
it
of
looks
or irrigation equipment?
Looks mechanical.
Yeah.
Oh,
I believe that's irrigation equipment. And the goal
oh, this is
here-
better. This is better than my picture.
Yeah, and so on that picture, the goal here is to then run this new fence right down here and along the backside to screen this as well from the south.
Well, but we're concerned about what you see from Martel.
Correct, which is the other picture that I showed where you can really
So that fence shouldn't be taller, it's a solid fence, so it really shouldn't be taller than 3 feet. And so was all this I mean, I looked at the aerial, this was not there even a year ago, all these things here, so.
I was gonna say, that's been there since you've owned the home, correct?
Yeah.
That's,
Well, the generator and the AC units were, but these boxes, what are these boxes?
I can't see what you're
Oh,
looking at.
okay. You want to give it?
yeah.
So you wanna stand up and,
So it's all this stuff.
yeah, go up there and
This?
prop your.
So when I looked at the aerial last year, this is here, and this is here. This wasn't here, this
Well, that's a
is,
landscaping box.
what's this?
What's in it? Just landscape, shovels, whatever.
And,
Those don't have to be there.
so these aren't mechanical?
No. The only thing that's mechanical, what you can't see is there's a pump over here for the pond. And those are mechanical. See those things coming up right here? Those are a couple of posts of mechanical. I don't know what they are. So they're all for the pond that's right next to it.
So,
But this all existed long before I got, this fence has gotta be, I'm gonna guess 10 years old.
this fence?
Yeah, it's gotta be 10 years old. It's very old.
I guess,
And these.
I don't know, I
this
saw
has
these
all
on,
been there a long time.
I don't know, I saw this. I don't know, I saw this, I didn't go back, I went back a year on the aerial. I mean, this looks like, this was a new fence, this looks like.
Not even close to it. I don't know when they put it in, I didn't do it. It was the old owner.
So what do we do
Is
here?
this a code enforcement issue?
Well, I guess he's looking for I don't know. I guess I'm looking at we're here to approve a fence.
I'm sorry, just for the record, so that Amy has it, could you just state your name and address? I'm sorry, sir.
John First, 355 Martel.
Okay, Amy, you got it? All right, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
No, that's okay.
So I guess to your question, Dave, I don't know, I guess I looked at this and that's why I asked, well, I wanted to see the fence.
Sure.
Because when I came out to this, I saw this fence and I thought, gee, this fence is already built and it's a violation of, I mean, this is a violation of ordinance. Plus all this hardware sitting here is only supposed to be 5 feet from the building. And it's 20 feet from the building. And so I'm just sort of wondering what's going on. And so, and I don't know when all this was installed. So we're approving a fence, but we have a fence and it's in violation. So, I mean, this is almost, we've got a couple things going on. Really, you almost have another ZBA item here because we've got a 4-foot tall fence and we've got I don't know when all this was put in.
Can I touch on that?
Sure.
We are the other project that went to ZBA before coming to Planning Commission.
Okay.
So that mechanical garden, which you can see part of the site plan had pool equipment going in there as well. That was all approved as part of the ZBA meeting last month. And there was a previous ZBA meeting for the hardscape surface, and I believe that mechanical garden back in 2016. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric.
Wait, let me back you up. So there's more equipment going in where this is?
Yes, but that was part of the ZBA approval.
The pool equipment's going in there too, according to the ZBA.
So I guess this is approved, but I guess I'm looking at this and, I mean,
Are you looking to modify, maybe as a motion, to modify what the existing fence or do something with that in order to capture the new fence? Is that what you're thinking, or?
Well, honestly, Dave, I'm not sure because this is new information. I just heard him say all the pool equipment's going in there, so the AC unit, and I wasn't sure what these other boxes were. Now I know they can be moved. I thought they were mechanical boxes. But so all of this, and I don't know when any of this was put in. If someone, and I heard what the homeowner said, and I'm not here to say anything different. I'm just looking at a situation on the surface, went out to look at a fence, and I saw a fence that doesn't comply with code. I also see all this hardware sitting there that doesn't comply with our city code. And if we're putting in more pool equipment in this area, I don't know what the ZBA did in terms of should we be putting more equipment in this. I mean,
is
if
it
they,
is it a screening issue that you were looking at, or?
well, I guess the fence shouldn't even be there.
If I may,
Yes.
there is an exception for fences in the side yards, specifically for screen generators or air conditioners. Walls, fences, or gates of a solid design required a screen generator or air conditioner.
What it also says is they're supposed to be within 5 feet of the building.
This is just the fence portion.
Right, well, so I get it, I guess, and I read the code too, so I looked at this and I said, well, because we've always had this issue that you've got to screen the AC units and the generators, which I understand. So the rule is, you gotta screen it and you can put a fence around it or do something, but it has to be within 5 feet of the building.
Right, so what we may have is a non-conforming mechanical unit or two. If this is for the pool, or the pond looks like it's been there for at least 10 years, to your point. I did look at historical aerials. So there is, I can't see whether the fence is there, but there's definitely a pond, and there looks like there's a structure there. So if that's an existing condition, and if it's not conforming, I think the question would be, often we're trying to bring properties into better compliance with the code when they're doing a project that's related. I guess the question would be, you think that this pool on the other side of the yard would be something that is triggering this situation to be addressed?
So Jill, as I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the pool, that's sort of a separate issue.
The pool is the issue.
Well, actually, so,
Tonight, because as you said, that's an existing non-conforming condition.
so I guess I look at this, guys, and if you're asking me as a planning commissioner to go out to a site and look at something and see air conditioners and generators that are clearly out of ordinance, a 4.5-foot tall fence that's clearly out of ordinance, and then ask me to render some kind of decision on a fence behind the fence and the equipment that's out of ordinance, honestly, I'm not comfortable doing that. And I guess I look to Mark. What do you think here, Mark?
Well, I guess the initial question is this truly a legal non-conforming situation? I don't know if the applicant's aware of of how this was installed. Was it installed pursuant to a permit? Was it legally installed? If it wasn't legally installed, there's no nonconformity.
Well, the next part of this is, we're putting a fence in a side yard, and then you even have to wonder, the fence is there to enclose a pool. And to enclose the pool, you don't need the fence where we're proposing it. You can enclose the pool a different way. So I'm just trying to get down to, instead of piecemealing this and saying, I'm gonna have blinders on and not see all this other stuff.
If I could, one
Yes.
more clarification. So, as the applicant noted, the ZBA approval included the pool equipment, which is in the same location as, so the ZBA granted the location, the separation from the house. They may have done that because of the existence of the other mechanical equipment
That was the argument at ZBA.
The pool equipment is permitted to be in this location.
So, you know, I guess if the ZBA made a decision, and I guess this is a self-created problem. I guess I'm not gonna question what the ZBA did, but
Just to be fair, there was equipment already there. And so I think the current property owner is trying to maximize the location, or minimize, if you will, I guess,
Minimize the impact.
the proliferation of equipment on the property and consolidate it all in one area. And so they did get the variance that was required for that portion, which was the new equipment that was going in. The rest of it is non-conforming.
well, actually, Jill, I'm not sure, you know. I mean, it's non-conforming, but we don't know when any of this was, I heard it's been there for a while. So I'm raising questions because the ordinance clearly says the nearest portion, it can't be located more than 5 feet from the house. And this stuff is 20 feet from the house. And the fence doesn't conform. And now we're asking to put another fence in behind this fence.
Well, we can certainly look at the fence that may be in nonconformity from an administrative standpoint. It sounds like the equipment was approved by the ZBA, so that has to be covered, and the pool has to be enclosed. So maybe if the homeowner and his representation can discuss, show us how it's all gonna work, that might be helpful. And then if there's any modifications from the planning commission.
You know, I guess as I'm thinking about, Dave, the next thing I wonder about, now you're gonna have 2 fences here. I mean, right now, we've got a fiberglass fence that's 4.5 feet tall that you can see from the road. And then we're putting in a fence behind that fence. So should we have one fence?
And can I just piggyback that, does the city have a policy on tying into other fences owned by others? Because,
No,
you
no
know,
policy on it.
what do we do in the situation if the neighbor who owns that fence pulls it out?
Yeah, they have to work that out. That's not something we get involved with. We don't get involved with tying into the other neighbors' fences.
So what is the
Whose
applicant?
fence is it, I guess?
The neighbors.
There's 4 different houses that have fences along the back there. Okay, there's 2 behind and apart, and there's 2 on either side. Those fences already exist. They come right up the side of the house where I'm proposing to go into.
Right to the end of the blue there and the end of the blue here. And the
Yeah,
end of
those
this
are
one
4
is
different-
actually on this.
Not only are there 4 different fences, there are 4 different kinds of fence. They got a link fence. I can't believe this was allowed to begin with, but whatever. It is what it is. There's 4 different types of material coming along that side all the way around. And I think only, you mind if I get up and show you?
Please.
This section right here is the only section, this fence right here, that's the only one that's actually a 4-foot aluminum nice fence that should be. The rest of this is all garbage, all the way up to this point.
Well, which kind of begs the question, I mean, you're here on your application for your fence to enclose your pool, and I'm wondering, and maybe the city attorney has a comment on this, that shouldn't we be looking at a fence that you create throughout the entirety of your property, on your property, and not tying into somebody else's mishmash of fences?
Well, then their fence is gonna be butt up against my fence.
Well, and, you know, not to interrupt, but, I mean, the way we typically look at these fences is if a fence is there to enclose a pool,
There's agreement.
the fence is around the pool, and we don't expand it into the entire side yard.
I mean, every one of these are expanded in the side yard all the way around the house, so.
Are those other fences permitted, the blue ones, are they permitted, or do they just happen to appear?
They all have pools, they all.
Say there is a pool
Those
here
would be their rear, to your question, Lee, those would be in their rear yards looking at this.
that don't have, so the fence that runs along this line on the back acts as the pool fence for this pool and this pool as well.
It
So-
sounds like if they were put in today, they would be non-conforming.
Yes,
At the time, they probably were conforming.
yes.
So I'm going to summarize my points then. So you're asking me to approve a fence,
Who's asking you?
well, I mean, the city.
The applicant?
The-
Okay. Not the city.
The application, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a stretch. So we're being asked to approve a fence, and I'm just looking at it from my own personal perspective.
Sure.
And I'm seeing a fiberglass fence that I don't know when it got there, and maybe we'll find out more in a little while, but I don't know when it went there. I know there's AC units, a generator that does not conform. We're proposing to put a fence then behind that fence. And I guess I look at it and I wonder, do you end up looking at this whole plan and say, we really don't need first of all, do you really need this fence here? Because the fence is supposed to be there to enclose the pool. Now, oftentimes we'll extend, especially here maybe where you've already got some fence, we'll have some latitude and say, okay, you've got this fencing, we'll connect it. But should you have one fence, should you pull the plastic fence and put in a conforming fence, and then make sure that we've got a proper vegetation plan? Because right now, based on that picture we just saw, and I saw this yesterday, I actually did not take a picture from the front because I couldn't, because there were trucks there. But if you see that from Martel, we shouldn't be seeing that from Martel. So I'm not even sure I could make a decision on this with this plan as it sits.
Maybe, how I see it, for what it's worth, is that there are existing fences. If you look at the overview, the Google overview, everybody's taking advantage of all those fences. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary that those fences, if the resident had agreement with the adjoining property owners that they could use or you could attach to it, that may be okay. But with regards to the non-conforming fence and whatever else the adjoining neighbors' comments might have, maybe we can
Okay.
have the applicant make some modifications so that we can help out, to make sure that, I believe there's at least one neighbor here that's has some concerns and that she'll want to speak at some point, but maybe the applicant and the homeowner can make some comments in this meeting that this could be worked
Okay,
out.
good. Do you have more, do you have any more comments?
No, if there's no more questions from me.
Any questions for? All right.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience that would speak?
Yes, there are two neighbors.
Okay, if you want to let us know who you are.
Sure. 6 o'clock at night, I objected to a chainsaw going at this property. And no homeowners have been around, it's just been 13, 14 cars, same here. I'm putting on a wedding in 2 weeks at the house, I've had similar stuff. And, so 6 o'clock at night, all my contractors are gone, so Friday night, and I hear a chainsaw going. And I go over and say, you've got to be kidding me, a chainsaw. And the man was installing the new fence. The fence before was a white fiberglass fence that on the pictures that you can show the rest of the commissioners, there's a red sports car there, and then from the back patio, that's what it used to look like. That's how you could not see the white fence.
These pictures?
That is what it looks like now. That is the photo that this gentleman has shown you, saying this is what it looks like from the road, is just flat out a misrepresentation, or we wouldn't be here. All you see is all of the landscaping has been ripped down. They moved the fence. I have no idea how ZBA would have approved that large of a generator that sounds like a jet engine. I had a police officer over, we were working on helping out a neighbor, and the power went out, and all we heard was this jet engine. Why? Because this is the largest generator in our entire street, and it's bouncing off a solid plastic fence. And the idea that ZBA, for the residents of the city of Bloomfield Hills, would approve of that generator and then another pool equipment being next to my property, without having a planning commission, getting my ability to come in here, they said, oh, it wasn't even on the schedule. And it just popped up on the schedule, and ZBA approved of it, of that kind of loudness for my neighbor, for us, for the people behind us. And, that I didn't even get to have a say on that. And my letter my email that was represented, I wrote an email in support of it. I haven't supported anyone who wants to use their property and use it to the fullest of their nature, but to the point that they're not taking down the rest of the neighborhood. And when this landscaping company, and again, the homeowners have not been around, it's been this landscaping company that has ripped out everything that was beautiful about that property, moved a fence, that is not a representation. The picture I have is today's view of what it looks like. You see that, you see their garbage cans out there, you have their plastic fence out there, you have all kinds of stuff out there. And I can't even believe this is the city of Bloomfield Hills. And if it were to be tested how loud that generator is bouncing off that plastic wall, and now we're gonna propose another wall, and we're objecting to chain link fences. At least they're not bouncing off sound. So it's really ridiculously loud, but the homeowner before that wanted to make sure absolutely every single plug in his entire house was hooked up to a generator. So it was probably the largest generator I've ever seen.
Okay, thank you. I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you said the fence was just installed?
Yes, and I spoke with, we had the same landscaper on May 29th at 6 o'clock at night. He was cutting in all new feet and moving the fence, all new womanized feet and installing a new fence. So the homeowner's probably correct. He has no idea when it was installed, which is fine. But it was installed on May 29th. And we had our driveway replaced, so we had been walking through our trees and walking on the edge of the property, watching this whole thing happen, like about 20 times a day. It was very tough having our driveway ripped up, and they had all their landscapers over there, so we just kept walking on the edge of the property, watching this whole thing happen, all the ripping out, who knows why. And so, I'm just surprised that we're putting on a lap pool or whatever kind of pool on this particular property. And in order to do that, all of us have to be subjected to non-conforming side fences. I spoke with, this is the main point. Bobby, who runs Ponds and Beyond, who's been running that property for 15 years and put in that pond. It's the only thing that has kept that piece of property quiet. So if that's a really neat pond. I might have to duplicate it in my lawn. It's a really neat pond. She didn't put in the white fence. She said the handyman put in the white fence. She has submitted photos of what it looked like before they ripped out all of the landscaping, which is why it was quieter when the generator would go on. It was a generator, but you had landscaping all over the place, and there was all kinds of sound deadening. Now the rest of the street is subjected to this. Again, I don't think it's the homeowner's fault. I think it's a land company's fault that took out all of this stuff on this property.
All right.
And this one.
Do you have a comment, or?
Well, I mean.
No, I'm looking at, no, I'm looking at the lady behind you.
Oh.
Ever so briefly, my name is Karen Williams. I live in the home to north of the property, so I'm not adjacent, and I'm here to listen and learn. And if the fence material is non-conforming, that would be of interest to me, because from the perspective of aesthetic continuity, I find it a little bit out of place for the neighborhood, and I do think the solid aspect of it does, give potential to trap in sound, and so I'm here to learn more about what's going on.
All right, thank you. All right. As a homeowner, do you have any more comments? I guess I'm gonna since they spoke. I'm gonna give you the opportunity.
We bought this house back in, I think, November, December. The house has been being worked on since we bought it. We're in Florida in the winter. And, nobody's put in any new fence. That's just not true. The generator is a reasonable sized generator. I've heard it run. It's not loud at all. You come in here, it's probably been there 15 years. I don't know when the previous homeowner put any of that stuff in. We did not put any of that in. We did not install any new fence. The fence, you can come and see, there's an old fence. If the problem is the white fence, I'm happy to tear it out of there. I'm not proposing I don't know why you see two fences on there. The actual, what we're proposing is connecting the fence to one end of it and then picking up on the other side of it. If you guys determine that you don't want the white fence and just want aluminum, I'm happy to tear that out of there. I haven't pulled any landscape from the front of the driveway at all. It's not, we haven't kept it up either. There's construction around there. We've just now started to get the landscaping. But, yeah, so. I guess that's all it is.
Dave, but one thing I'd mentioned, that there was a comment about noise. There's a provision in here that.
65 decibels?
Yep,
Yeah, I know about it.
there you go.
Yeah, and so we can have our building official test that. May I ask you, sir, the generator, that's not, you didn't install that?
Kind of, no.
And it's been there?
Yeah, it's been service based. I mean, there's service records.
And when you went to the ZBA, you had some approvals for mechanical equipment?
Correct.
And what mechanical equipment was that for, just for the pool?
It was for the pool equipment to go.
To be added into
existing
that.
mechanical garden.
And so the mechanical equipment that you had approved with the ZBA would go right by the generator?
Correct, yeah.
And is that plastic fence, was that meant to be a barrier for the?
No idea.
You have no idea? So it sounds like the generator was there, that they got approval to have the equipment near that generator, which kind of makes sense. You don't want to, I think you want to maybe locate it in one location. I guess there has to be a decision on how they're going to screen it, because that's part of the ordinance. They have to screen it. But they can use, in our ordinance, they can use both, like an evergreen screening, or they can use a solid, advertisement, or whatever the term is. So they can use a solid, they could use something like that to screen it, and that would be compliant with the ordinance. So, again, I think if they have some cooperation with the residents to attach to these fences, and then if they're willing to make some modifications to help the residents, next door resident, if there's.
Can you, pull up the larger scene of the subject site? It's a little, I would say, misleading, what this particular gentleman is asking the city commissioners to approve. Right now, you have a cream color, not white, the original fence. You have a cream color plastic fence that they are asking to have extended farther into the side lawn to connect up to my fence for their. Yeah,
Actually,
exactly, because I live there.
Right, no, the proposal, that's this one here that goes, tucks around. This one is the aluminum, the ornamental aluminum pool fencing.
No
So
way.
that's what will connect, that's the new fence on both
So
sides.
you're gonna put a second fence in a side yard? Yeah. Second
There's the
fence.
one that's there currently, and then this one goes behind it as the pool fence, because that's the one that's required for them to have, that's another story. The 4-foot high fence is for this pool security specifically.
We can gladly make it one fence.
It could be one fence.
It could be one
It's gonna
fence.
have to be two fences.
So it sounds like they're willing to remove
Right,
the
so if that,
plastic fence, put their own metal fence in, properly screen it, but then you're gonna have to do something about the noise. You're gonna have to do something about the, not necessarily the noise, we'd have to see if there was a noise issue. But you'd have to have the appropriate screening, so that's.
that would mean more screening on this.
Do you have a screening that you can show? Is that part of the?
The plan was to
We
use the
had-
existing screening along the
Right,
front.
so you have this, that would be from the driveway or looking
Yeah,
right.
and that was taken May 8th.
yes. So that may be something that you would want to see.
So to move this forward, let me just make a couple of comments.
Sure.
So what I'm seeing then, so now we've got on the table, there are 2 fences. I don't think Catherine understood that. So there are 2 fences. We shouldn't have 1 fence. Now we've got 2 fences. There are a couple issues. And to your point, Dave, yep, we've got to screen this hardware. And the requirement is to screen it. And there's a couple different ways you can do it. It's got to be a foot over what's out there. But we're screening it with this plastic fence, which I can see reverberates sound. If we tied in this new fence and extended it over, then you're gonna end up with more fence in the side yard, which I don't know is a good thing, because that plastic fence right now is in the front. So you've got, this is all plastic fence. Well, it's actually, Jill, it's in front of that. So I think what you really need to do, what will take care of the sound, is you probably ought to get rid of the plastic fence.
It sounds like he's willing to do that and go with the original metal fence, and then when he gets a permit to install the, well, we'll make sure that there's screening around these mechanical.
But you need
for the additional mechanical equipment anyway. We will make sure, you can make part of the motion that we make sure that that generator is screened appropriately, and then we'll check the decibel level too.
Okay, so
So
go
is
ahead.
that fencing and landscaping?
Yeah.
And the sound?
Well, the ordinance requires one or the other. You know, there's points here that when you do have a solid fence, that could reverberate the sound. I don't know.
But to your point, what the ordinance always also requires is that we screen fences. And so we would never allow a fence or a wall in front that's not properly screened. So right now, there's a fence, and the screening that's there, that is in my personal view, unsatisfactory, because you see all the fencing.
What did the ZBA?
Well, I think yeah, are you gonna be doing more landscaping and everything else? Okay.
Yeah, that whole area's gonna get redone when they do the pool.
Yeah, that looks like some old stuff there they're probably gonna rip out.
So if I could.
Go ahead.
This portion, because we know that the mechanical equipment is able to be there, at least the pool equipment. The screening for the mechanical equipment doesn't need planning commission approval. But they are required to abide by the sound ordinance, the noise.
Say that again, wait, go back to what you just said?
The screening for the mechanical equipment in the side yard does not need planning commission approval.
I would beg to differ.
That's true.
So-
Our ordinance requires, that's a building official issue.
So what it says is if you put a wall in the front yard, that under the ordinance, under our site plan review, we have the,
There's a
That's
specific.
a side yard fence.
There is a
You
specific
keep saying front
carve
yard.
out.
Where's that in the front yard?
Under fences, there is a specific carve out for mechanical equipment. Any other general side yard fence, yes, but for mechanical equipment, I think,
Yeah.
well, for the mechanical equipment, it's not required.
No.
But what I would say to that is, we know we have the noise ordinance, so we've got the sound limit that you have to be capped at. So whatever you need to do to that equipment to affect that compliance, you're gonna have to do. So whether maybe it's not the vinyl or the fiberglass, maybe it's a brick structure there that's gonna absorb and block that sound a little bit better. Whatever you need to do, you've gotta comply with the ordinance. So if that is at all reassuring.
no, Catherine, you're done, sorry. What the ordinance says is, the planning commission may further require landscaping, fences and walls.
What ordinance are you looking at?
This is under site plan review.
And do you have one up?
Site plan, this is not a site plan review. This is not a site
Section
plan review.
section 24 dash
24-242, 3L. Exceptions, planning commission approval is not required for a side yard fence or wall as follows. Walls, fences, or gates of a solid design required to screen generators or air conditioners in compliance with section 24-229 of the zoning ordinance. So
So-
that's under 242.
So maybe if they remove the white fence, they move the fence away from the one that they say they wanna tie into, if you believe that should be screened from the neighbor, which I believe would be screened from you, you move that fence in and appropriately screen it.
Would you like it to go up and across this way?
Well, I know, you wanna keep it back, but you wanna move, see the fence along the property line?
Yes.
You're gonna wanna go all the way down to the blue,
Yep.
move the fence in 4 feet, so you can screen it appropriately, bring it back up, and then bring it back around to the house, but then you have to remove that, white fence, and, I think that would comply with the ordinance.
Right, so additional landscaping here,
Yeah,
and here, and here.
yes,
One caveat to that, though,
Yes.
is, and we shouldn't be redesigning this on the fly, but what you'd have to do is, you're gonna have to extend the fence at that corner where the garage is. You've got to extend that over to the north. From there, no. So if you take out the white fence,
yeah.
so you're gonna have to extend that fence in front of, that white fence not even shown on here?
Right. I think, isn't this the white fence right here?
Correct.
Yeah. That line there is the white fence that's around
Well,
it.
they're just gonna have to screen that equipment, there's not necessarily a need for a fence.
You're gonna end up with more fence that you're gonna see from the road.
Well, or.
Well, if you screen it, so the road is sort of northeast, isn't it, Jill?
Yes, it's,
So the road's northeast, if you're standing in the road and you screen it, yeah, if you screen it there,
right.
right at the fence. Well, it doesn't matter, you still have to screen it. Screen that, but also, there does seem to be a lot of screening to the left there, but regardless, the ordinance can require screening of that side yard fence, so you'd have to pull that in 4 feet, pull it up, and pull it back to the house and make sure that that is wrapped with complete screening. Are you, I don't think that's that hard to figure out here. I mean, that sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, so I'm gonna open it up. Craig.
I would like to ask the owner, or rather the engineer who's already testified, what's the kilowatt of the generator in question?
I do not know that,
Why do you not know that?
because I did not install the generator, or it was not part of the plans when the generator was installed.
Did it ever occur to you that that's something you would want to know?
It did not, because I figured that if there was any complaints about the ordinance for the noise, that it would have been filed already through the building official.
Are you familiar with how let's just say it's a sizable generator. The neighbor testified here today that it's a humongous generator. I was asking the question, 'cause I'd like to know, is it 25 kilowatt? Is it 60 kilowatt? Is it 150 kilowatt? And nobody sitting here seems to know that. That's an important question when it comes to noise and chaos in the neighborhood, it seems to me.
Commissioner Arnold, we're happy to take a look at that. The administration's happy to go out there and take a look at it and try to understand if it's compliant with the noise level. We're happy to do that for you.
Wonderful, I'm glad to hear that. I'd like to just, as a supplementary comment,
Yes, sir.
not that I'm an authority on standby generators, large, commercial, like the one we're talking about, but they also have little doodads called mufflers, and they're real high-tech, and they only cost a small amount of money in the scheme of things, and it does wonders for the noise, chaos, and confusion that it causes in the neighborhood. And I would just gently suggest that someone look into, is there an adequate, modern sound suppressor on the current unit? If not, why not? And I would suggest that the owner think about putting that on a shopping list, because that would make a lot of people happy, it seems to me.
And Dave's gonna check for the 65.
Your comments are well taken, and
Okay.
I will work with the homeowner to make sure that's, to the best of my ability, to make sure that's accomplished, or at least it's compliant.
It almost sounds like a love fest.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but.
No, I
Do
wouldn't.
other commissioners have comments here? Yes.
So just a couple of observations on this one, and I know this house well. I've been walking by it for 20 years.
Okay.
I just know it well. This, Martel is one of the most beautiful streets we have in the city. I'm not saying they're not all beautiful, but this street has more than just a couple $1 million homes on it. The street has very nice homes that they keep up their landscaping impeccable. In this house, the landscaping before the owner bought it, it was impeccable. I mean, you couldn't see anything. If there was that fence, that white, whatever fence there, you couldn't see it. And I agree with the neighbor's comment about it is not the kind of neighborhood to have a plastic fence. As a matter of fact, so that's one of the things I want to say. Number two, I just have to say, like, severely disappointed in the zoning board. I hate to say that, but that they did not consider, because when I was putting in a generator and having to move my AC units, I was told they couldn't be on the same side of the house because of the noise factor for the neighbor. You have ACs, I had 2 ACs, I had a generator that was over there. Now he's putting pool equipment over there and other things that are over there. I mean, that should have been vetted, but that's over with, it was agreed to. I also think that Commissioner Gasquire's comment about the fencing, who puts up a fence and doesn't even talk to the neighbor and just says, I'm gonna use your fence to protect my pool? Maybe the city doesn't have something like that, but you should have been working with all 3 of those neighbors and saying, hey, can we work something out here? Because, you know, you're asking for us to make this exception. That fence is supposed to be at the corner. If you want to stay in compliance, it's supposed to go from corner to corner of your house around the pool. You're just using the neighbor's fences. I'm sorry, but that's kind of, I personally, with the fence out in front, the fence been back, and working this out, my suggestion, and you're probably not gonna like it, but is to table this and have them come back with a very succinct plan. We know the decibels of the generator. You've talked to the neighbors and you've worked out something to connect your fence with theirs. And you show us a very detailed plan, how you're going to lower the decibel, the noise factor.
I want to entertain any other comments or questions on the commission.
Yeah, I just want to, I support what the mayor just said, and further to that, I'm still unclear about the ability to tie into other property, that being the fence, fences owned by others, and whether that's something that we can approve, or approve with condition that in the event that the neighbor decides to pull down their fence, that the applicant here, enclosing its pool, has to, at that point, construct another fence. Come back here for?
You would have to put that in the motion. As far as tying it into it, I mean, you could put a fence right next to someone's fence, you're not touching it. That's not.
No, I know, but that's not what this
But that's
application
what
is.
You had
doing.
asked that question to me before, I didn't get a chance to answer you.
Okay.
The way I see it, if they want to use the neighbor's fence, they're welcome to do that if they have consent and agreement for that. And part of that agreement should be, if the neighbor takes down their section of the fence, that they're gonna be responsible for putting up a replacement.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that can be done by agreement. I don't see anything wrong with co-using the fence. It sounds like the 3 existing properties are already doing that. But there should be some type of an agreement demonstrated.
But we don't have that in front of us now.
I have not heard it yet, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other commissioner comments? Okay. Susan, did you want to make a motion?
I guess because I suggested
Mayor?
it. Yeah, that's okay. And just, I know you were saying it out of frustration, but I just, for the record, no no resident ever is done talking. So, Catherine, I know you were just saying that, you said you're done.
Well, yeah,
I know
well-
what you were saying, but I just wanted, for the audience and for
Catherine
everything.
used to be on the planet.
Yeah.
Before you motion, can I
So.
just make a couple more points real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So, we are willing to move that fence, so that we get rid of that white plastic or tan plastic, whatever color it may be, and do the iron fence around the enclosure and screen it additionally. I want to make sure that we're agreeing to that so that there is the possibility to not get tabled and to look at what we're here for. Because the two requirements of the planning commission per the letter were the pool fence approximately 101 feet in the side yard and the swimming pool, the portion in the west side yard. There was no motion for planning commission for any of the generator equipment or screening or anything else because it had already gone through the ZBA approval or was an exception in the ordinance. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with that.
Well, what we don't have is the permission from the neighbors to tie into the existing fencing, so.
Understood. That could be a condition of approval if that's what you would like, or I don't want to sway your motion one way or the other. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
As far as the generator too, it's, with all disrespect, all due respect to everybody, it's speculative if that's even an issue. We don't even know if it's an issue, if it's above the.
I don't know, I heard one person say, the fence has been there for 10 years, and another
Right.
said it just went up, so,
Yeah.
I'm gonna echo the mayor's comment. Do you wanna make your I'm not sure what I would approve here, anyways.
That's my problem. Yeah, I mean, thank you for it, and we normally don't like to do this, but I think in this given situation, that we table this, so I would like to make a motion that we table the request of the property owner at 355 Martell Drive for the approval to install a pool and fence in the side yard for the following reasons. We would like to know the decibel of the current generator. We would like a detailed plan of exactly where you're putting the fence, where it's going, what kind is being put in, and the removal of the aluminum fence. And then all landscaping that is going to be screening all the side yard fence. Because, Jill, we require, if it's a side yard fence, you have to screen it. You cannot see it from the road. Even if we were to have to approve this today, both of those have to be, and then the other one is that we would like a written letter from each of the neighbors saying that they approve of you tying into their fence. And also, I'd like an agreement to Mark's comment that we can look at and review the agreement to say that it's on the condition that if they take down their fence, you will put yours in. Is that correct, how I said that? Okay. So all of those things are what we're looking for. We take minutes and we also have this recorded as well. But my motion is to table it.
Can I, Madam Mayor, you said removal of the iron fence, I think you meant the plastic.
I did too, I'm sorry.
Just-
Thank you, yes. I did.
And with your motion, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So you made the point, or someone made the point, that really we're talking about fencing the pool in, and now we're giving them the latitude of fencing in their entire yard. And so,
That's a good point. That's a very good point. So, because I made the point of, if it was us, we wouldn't even allow, I'm saying, you're right. You're completely right what you just said. Because I just said, okay, you can do a side yard fence. You might find out a neighbor's gonna tell you can't tie into their fence. And if that's the case, you've got to put a fence around your pool that's in conformance to the ordinance. You can't, if they won't let you tie into it. So I would say, don't assume we're just, unless the plan is very well, I mean, I'm not the only commissioner here.
Understood.
They're all gonna vote and look at it, but, I mean, the other option we have here is to say no to you. And then you'd have to take a fence and you'd have to put it within the conformance of the backyard, of the rear yard. So,
Understood.
so the aluminum, I'm sorry, take it over, Chairman, now.
Pardon me?
Karen has her hand up, please.
I just have a question. Is it reasonable to assume that if the sound level of the generator is greater than the legal limit, then anything noise inducing, for example, I don't have a pool, but pool pumps, generators, what was the other item? Air conditioners. Is it reasonable to assume that those pieces of equipment would be reallocated and balanced in a different way? If it's louder than it should be? What happens if it's not, it's no issue, but if it is louder, what?
It doesn't matter where it's at, it has to comply with the decibel level, it doesn't really matter where it's
I
at.
think
So
her
it
point.
would stay put, you would just find a way to bring it down, if that's even possible.
That's what they would have to work on.
Okay.
I think your point is the same as mine. The generator goes off, the AC units are both running, 2 of them, and the pool equipment is going. Those all would have to, her point is, what's the sound with all of those? Can we do that, or no? Mark?
I was just gonna suggest that, the issue you're talking about is really a code enforcement matter. It's not really something for the planning commission to
Okay.
decide. I know you wanna look into it to see if it is an issue. If it is an issue, code enforcement will take care of it and come up with a solution to make sure it's compliant.
Okay, good, that's fair enough. All right, so the
So
motion's on the table.
you got your motion, you happy with that?
Unless anybody wants to add anything else?
Good job, Mark.
You want to second that? Will?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
See you again.
Yeah, see you next one.
So the next item on our agenda is the planning commission will consider the request of the property owner at 1290 Orchard Ridge Road for approval to install a pool and a fence in the side yard.
It's another pool. 1290 Orchard Ridge Road. You can see that here. This is the A1 zoning district. The request is for approval of a pool and a fence partially located in the side yard. So here we have our map, yard map. We have Orchard Ridge Road here on the front. We have the front yard, the side yard, and then this is the rear yard back here. So the home sits back here, the new home, pool, and then a pool house as well. The fence, so the pool is partially in the side yard, and then the fence is also in that, on this edge, in the side yard. You can see that there. There is landscaping proposed, in addition to the existing screening, along this north lot line, along with some directly around the pool itself, and then additional screening out on the front side. Got images of that, and then a rendering of the proposed pool in the back. And I am happy to answer any, oh, we have a engineering item as well, but I'll go back to maybe this one and answer any questions that you might have about this project.
Do you have an aerial of this one?
This one? So it's sort of back here.
Okay, looks like we're good.
Great.
Leah?
There we go.
Okay, so similar to the other two, the only item we really wanted to discuss was drainage for this property. This one is adding a bit more in the backyard with the pool house and the pool area, that they actually have 3 leaching basins proposed. One towards the one side, towards the front of the home, another one in the actual front of the home, and then a third one along the other side lot. And kind of the arrows we're showing are the way that the water flows to reach those. So given what they're proposing, we do think the 3 leaching basins are sufficient to accommodate that.
is the applicant here? Do you have any comments, or? Who are you?
I'm Scott Swada with J.J. Allison, the contractor for the project.
Okay.
And
How are you?
Can you let us know your name too?
Roseanne Donaldson.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like a nice project.
We were so excited to restore a beautiful old home and not take it down. And excited to put a pool in, we're just thrilled about the project in general. Lots of, new windows and things like that, but we're getting through it.
Well, and you might be interested to learn that the gentleman sitting at the end of the table there, here, you know a little bit about that house, don't you?
Lived in that house from 1972 to.
I thought that was your house. It is, isn't it?
It's an amazing home.
Know that property better than anybody else in the city.
There you go.
Okay, Lee, can you tell us
Great
about
project.
the cuts and curves? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So,
Looks terrific.
thank you. Thank you for showing up. Is there anyone in the audience that has comment on this proposal? So I'm going to return it back to the commission for any questions, comments, or motion.
I think Commissioner Esquire,
I would make a motion to approve the plan as it's assumed there for the fencing and the pool and the pool house. I think they fit on the property perfectly. I know the contours of the land, I know the neighbors of the adjoining properties, and it should not interfere with any of them.
We've really tried to maintain as many trees as possible. So, with this configuration.
Doesn't encroach on any of the neighboring properties at all.
And thank you. And let me just mention, we have a letter from the neighbor across the street, Commissioner, well, not former Commissioner, Connie Salone, that she looked at this. She lives across the street, and she's got no problem with it. So we have a motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good luck with your project.
Great, thank you.
You got a great neighbor across the street. She's a special lady.
Is she? Okay.
She served on the city for 24 years.
Oh,
If you have any questions, you just don't bother calling the city, ask her. No, I'm just kidding. Just go over and visit, exactly.
Thank you.
Can't wait to get a tour of the house when you're done.
Anytime.
Oh, wait, I get to go. It's nice. Enjoy it.
It's an amazing.
Thank you.
Sure. Yep. Go ahead.
So the next item on our agenda is the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on draft zoning ordinance amendments, section 24-3, 24-102, 24-117, 24-132, 24-230, 24-231, 24-232, 24-237C. And so this all goes back, everyone knows this, but just for introduction. So a couple months ago, in February, there was a moratorium that was put in place in the city. And in connection with that, the city decided to explore the development within the city center area, and it's expanded a little bit beyond that. And as a part of that, the city retained Giffords to do some review of the city center area and just the overall development. And then as a part of that, Giffords came up with some suggestions on amendments to the ordinance. And so these are the suggested changes. There's a lot of material here, So ordinarily, there would have been a subcommittee. We didn't have a subcommittee, and we're now doing this as a full commission. And so this could be a detailed review, but we ought to go through, let Jill explain what's going on. And then as we go through this, each commissioner may have comments, and I guess we'll have to sort of tackle this to see the best way to approach reviewing this document with the entire table here. So, but let's start out with Jill giving us an overview.
Well, that was a very good overview that you provided already.
Is it stuck in PDF? Is it stuck in the PDF form?
It is, it's just, wait. Yeah, it's not, I can control over here, but I can't control over here. But, anyway, so we'll just continue on. Because the slides I was going to show you were just recap slides from our last meeting. And you kind of covered that in terms of the purpose of the study and the suggestions that we had, some of the strategies for addressing some of the concerns about making sure that our city center and our office buildings and our commercial spaces are utilized and maintained and continue to represent the high quality and the standards that we have here in the city. So to that effect, we came up with some strategies that tried to be very narrowly targeted, really for some of the reasons that you indicated. This isn't meant to be a rewrite of the city zoning ordinances. This is really meant to just target a couple of small things that responded to the findings of the market study, which were that presenting a little bit of flexibility in terms of what we allow and being consistent with different neighboring zoning districts. So when we looked at that zoning map, we saw that the office districts and the city center district, or the C1 district, are adjacent to each other, but some of the things that they allow don't overlap, and it presents some confusion, I think, from the property owners in the area. So, and as we were going through the zoning ordinance, we noticed that there are a couple of terms that are used in the ordinance but aren't defined. So we thought, well, okay, then these are related, we'll talk about those. So if we want to really even go step by step, we can look at that first section, 24-3, the definitions. So these 6 definitions were intended: the health and wellness facility, office medical, office professional, personal service establishment, retail establishment, and limited retail establishment. These are terms, except for health and wellness facility, that are all used in the ordinance, but they're not defined anywhere. And so defining them, I think, provides some clarity with respect to the kinds of uses that would be permitted. And so if we even want to just start with that simple one, that might be a good place to start. I think in particular, the health and wellness facility is the definition for some uses that have been proposed, that some of them may even be existing uses: day spas, estheticians, some of the related semi-medical but not quite medical, technically, licensed professionals offering the services, but to give those a name and call that health and wellness. This also would include yoga studios, Pilates, some smaller, well, the smaller is the part that comes later, but it would represent fitness and workout type studios that people use here in the city, as well as can be used by people who come to this area to go to work. So those were just the initial things, really just refining that. Did you mean for me to just pop that open, or is it just stuck?
It's stuck. If it
Okay,
was,
well, that's all right.
PDF's not working.
But we all have it, so, except for you guys, I'm sorry. But you've seen it, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that was the reasoning behind the definitions. And I can just keep going if that's easier, because then we get into I'll just keep going, and then we can go back and start at the beginning again.
This is probably a good
That's okay.
idea.
Okay, because that gives you the full context
I
of
think
what we're
good
are
plan.
strategizing, and then we can get into the specifics. And so, in the C1 district, that's our commercial district, we already allow retail, so we don't need to include all of that language, we just say retail establishments, because now we've defined it elsewhere. And so now we know that every time we see retail establishments, we know it's going to be what we've defined in the definition section. Same with personal service establishments, same rationale. Offices, the follow-up part of that, and office buildings of an executive, administrative, or professional nature, we don't really need that. If we're gonna allow all offices, and that would be intending to allow medical offices and professional offices. And then health and wellness facilities. And then the thought here as a starting point, something small. This is something that Planning Commission and City Commission discussed a little bit last time, of capping it out at 2,000 square feet. That would prevent a larger LA Fitness type, you know, gym situation, but really just allow for small studio spaces. And so that would be those small additions there.
Joe,
Yes.
as you're saying that, though,
Mhm.
you've got lines through this. So this is existing language, right?
Yes, the ones with the
So-
strike through, yes.
So basically,
Mhm.
we had this language in here already.
Yep.
We've changed then the language
Correct.
from what's lined out to what's above.
Mhm.
So this isn't really, these were not terms that were undefined. They were defined here. You've changed the definitions.
We've moved them to definitions because that's where they belong.
Well, but you've also changed it.
Right,
You-
and minor refinements to those. But essentially, I mean, we're not changing that retail is allowed. We're just defining it in a
I mean,
different way.
yeah,
but it's the
retail
same.
was defined as any generally recognized retail business which supplies commodities on the premises
Right.
within a completely enclosed building, but not limited to food, drugs. So just, there was this general.
Right.
Right.
But I think best practices in zoning would be for, when we're defining a term, that we put that in the definition section. It helps us, you've got a relatively small ordinance, but it helps us from having a definition in one section, that later we come along and we change it in a different section, and now we have two things that essentially are the same thing, but they're not defined the same way. So if we have one set of definitions, then we always know what it means. And so that's our recommendation on that.
But you're replacing, so you're just taking existing language and you're gonna include, you're going to include it in the definitions and then, because this language is already in the ordinance.
Right, we're just taking it out of the section 24-102, number 1, for retail establishments. We're removing the definition from the list of uses, and we're putting that definition, well, we're modifying the definition a little bit, but it's
And
essentially the same.
you know, that, just as we discussed that though, for anyone who looks at ordinances, when you do that, then the reader needs to go back
Yes.
and actually look to another place for the definition. As I can tell you, as someone who's looked at ordinances for many
Always
years.
gonna be in the definition section though, and you don't ever have to wonder where it is. So
Yeah.
you might run across the term retail, and then you go to the definition section to look it up, but there's nothing there. And the reader might not know to look in
Yeah.
section
So
C1.
just so we're digesting
Right.
this the right way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's our recommendation, based on our expertise as zoning people, to have them be separate and have them listed in the definition section. And it does kind of come up again, because under, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think it's under the, where was the one that said limited retail? I think that was in the, we didn't change it, so it should be not in red. One of them has that, and now I should probably go get my glasses so I can read the small print better. But we had, I think it's in the 02 maybe, yeah. In the 02 section, we have this is on page 3, section 24-132. One of the things that the planning commission may allow as an additional use, it says, limited retail business establishment, but that wasn't defined anywhere. So we had retail, but retail was found in section C1. It wasn't even a definition in the regular definition. So if we don't know where to find retail, we don't know where to find limited retail. And so that's why we recommended putting both definitions right there in the definition section. They'll always be in the same spot for people to find later.
Which, as you look at this, and this is where we're gonna have to get into this. I looked at that and I thought, well, do you really need two retail definitions when you look at what you've got here?
Well, but you've included the term, and I didn't
Well, yeah.
change it.
So
you have the term
maybe
in
the
here.
solution is, should that be there? But anyways.
That's a fair question, but I didn't want to remove limited retail because that seemed like it probably would make sense, and so we just define it instead. So that doesn't change anything about the way you permit limited retail or retail of a limited nature or small amounts of retail in the O2 today, but it just clarifies what we mean when we call it. What do we mean by retail and what do we mean by
Well,
limited retail?
are we gonna go back and look at these definitions? Because
I
I've got a
think-
bunch of questions.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have, because I got a bunch of,
Okay.
Do you
we,
wanna do that as we go through each section?
I don't know, I guess there's
I think she
different
wants-
ways.
yeah.
I've just let her keep going.
Okay.
Okay.
But I just wanted to point out, because Jill said these were all new, but basically this language is in the ordinance now.
Yeah, it's changed.
But it's changed a lot, and it is changed a lot too, but, so, but I just wanted to point out, this isn't all.
What was the
new.
criteria for changing the language?
Just making it more concise and easier to read.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to point out, this is actually scheduled for a public hearing. This is just the introduction. It might make more sense just to go through this once for the introduction, hold the public hearing, and then have the discussion after that.
Thank you.
Just a thought.
Okay, sorry,
ahead.
we interrupted you, we won't do it.
Good idea. Okay, if we move along then, the bottom of page 2, we're looking at the O1 office district. So we're adding in, so I think there's just a consideration for, we don't need to permit buildings, but we're permitting the uses. So it's just offices, and then we've added in medical there. And then again, the health and wellness facility up to 2,000 square feet. And then clarifying.
Jill, let me just, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The up to 2,000 square feet, is that something that you just threw in and thought that would be helpful?
It's
Well,
the size of a
was it-
small studio.
Well, I understand that, you said that before. But is that a direct result from the survey that you did, you were commissioned by the city to do, and you reported to us in the city? Was that in the results?
Not that specific number.
So where did it come from?
It's the size of an average small studio.
No, where did the concept come from?
The
Just put it in
number or the use?
the number.
The number, based on the research that that's the size of a small yoga studio or a Pilates studio.
So it was
If you
a-
look across at the national office or the national size requirements of different things, when we looked for yoga studios, Pilates studios, they can be between 2,000 to 3,000 square feet as a small one. And so we just went on the smaller side, and we can change that number if,
Pretty restricted at 2,000.
it's pretty small, it's pretty small,
And it's the only
thought-
category where we put a limitation on the size.
right.
So I guess the question, why would you put a restriction in? Who cares?
Well, let me propose this.
Let's keep-
Yeah.
Because we could end up going through this
Right.
for long. So let's just let Jill
Yes, thank you.
keep going. I mean, your points, I mean, those are relevant questions, but if we keep on.
Right.
One thing I think is, we didn't do a survey, though.
We did not do a survey.
We did not do a survey. So the city didn't do a survey.
But that's a
I thought I
separate,
just asked that question and she said yes.
no, we didn't do a survey that was specific to use, specific uses by residents. We were looking at market data and what market data shows. And what some of the property owners indicated would help them with some flexibility.
So
And so
all
we're
I'm trying
trying
to do is understand,
Yeah,
you've come up with an interesting restriction,
Mm-hmm.
2,000 square feet. And I'm just asking the simple question, where the heck did that come from?
And my simple answer is it's about the size of an average yoga studio, on the smaller side.
But it came from you
And Lee's
personally.
got,
I didn't
that's the
invent
size
the
of
number
Lee's
myself,
exercise room.
But it's
think
based
that
on
was-
research. It's based on research.
If I may, I
Yes,
think
it's
there
based
was
on our
some
professional
discussion.
research.
Okay.
We identified
But
this.
you just kind of thought that that would be a good thing to throw
I
in.
did not
Oh.
invent the number, but
I-
based on my professional research,
We're just trying to
I
keep the
suggest.
Lifetime Fitnesses from coming in.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that was it, we were
And
concerned, the
I
city
also
commission.
felt that it might be more appropriate to start on a smaller scale. If we allow something, if you have people that come in and ask for something a little bit bigger, then maybe we can talk about that, or maybe we can amend the ordinance later.
So
do-
what I'm gonna do
Yes.
is propose, just keep going. and
Okay.
We're gonna have questions, but.
That's
we're
fine.
gonna just-
I just
Go
wanted
ahead.
to comment
Yes,
that
Alice.
the city commission, I believe there was a discussion, there was concern about a lot of traffic, a lot of times yoga
Yes.
studios and Lifetime Fitness, people come all at once for a class and the parking, they cause problems. So I think we expressed some concern about limiting the size of it at the commission level.
And I have questions about, this raises questions about traffic and parking. And so we've changed these captions. And I don't want to get into this now, but when you start making these changes, there's a host of issues then that run with parking that I don't think we've come close to contemplating, but
All right, we're
I'm
gonna
gonna
keep
let you
going.
keep going.
Okay, and so additionally, adding in the personal services as a use there in the O2, or O1 district. Because the O2 district allows everything that the O1 district allows, we don't really need to make any changes there. In fact, we removed personal service and administrative service because that was newly added as number 3 in the O1 district. Now,
Where are you at?
we are in the middle of page 3. We're just about to talk about parking. And the parking, this part of the ordinance amendment, I would like us to not focus as heavily on. It is there because we felt that it might be helpful to have a little bit more clarity. But if we're gonna do a deep dive, I would leave that till maybe later. I don't know that this section here, 230A on the location of the parking in the front yard, is as related to making the ordinance more clear and efficient and addressing our project goal here, which was to try to provide a little bit more flexibility in the ordinance. So I'll just say that for that section.
But
However,
these are all proposed changes, so we've got to review all.
absolutely, but I'm saying when we're gonna focus on them, if, I don't want this section to bog us down, if you will, because I think there are things that are easier to move through, and I think there's things that could get more complex and complicated. Parking is always one of them. But what I would say is that, because that language is really just clarifying or refining language that's already there, and if you're happy with it the way it is, I don't know that it's
I was talking
essential to
about
change it.
parking numbers too.
Right.
Because once you change medical, you
Right, and so
start
we're
redefining.
not doing that at the moment. What we are suggesting is in page 4, item G, we're suggesting that we look at usable floor area and not gross floor area, which is the way most of the ordinance is written. What this does is, it doesn't really
So
change.
you're back on page 11 now.
No, I'm page 4. Well, I'm on page 4.
Oh, I'm looking at this, oh,
Yeah, no, I'm on page
you've
4.
got the parking, that's this table too, right?
That's the research. That's
Oh.
your supporting background stuff. You don't,
Okay.
we won't talk about that. I mean, we can.
I took a deep dive into.
Good, no, that's good.
detail.
So page 4 here, item G, floor area usable. Essentially, it's a 20% discount on uses where they may have a lot of storage, or for a restaurant, there's a lot of like food storage or food prep area. If we're counting that entire space and using that as our parking standard, that results in a much higher number than if we really just use the space, if we're gonna talk about restaurants, specific to where the patrons are. And so that's the suggestion, is to not change the numbers. We can do that, and I think we should do that, maybe later. But again, thinking about City Commission's direction to do some relatively straightforward amendments that address the findings from the land use study, and provide some flexibility and make it a little bit easier for people to use the ordinance. So if that's our goal in mind, we want to maybe be more targeted in what we're amending. And so that's really that. We also did remove on number 4, the wall requirement between adjacent properties in the C1, O1, and O2. But based on the comments from the Planning Commission, I think City Commission too, keeping a landscape yard as required there.
I'm sorry, where are you?
Number 2, under section 24, 231, number 2 on page 4. And again, we can get into that. This is just intended to be a replacement for that wall. So it's a landscape buffer yard. So providing a little bit of relief for hardscape areas, addressing some stormwater issues potentially in a way that's, that provides that without being a wall and an additional expense, and also preventing people from passing through. And then the very last one, well, actually, I take that back. We did change the loading and unloading spaces to not allow that or not require loading for smaller uses. We think that's appropriate and minor. The last one is on design standards. And this was sort of consistent with the conversation from last month, the project on Long Lake, giving the Planning Commission the ability to approve alternative materials, building materials, where it finds that said materials are aesthetically harmonious with existing development, and that the specifications, warranties, and examples of successful application of the materials indicate durability and high quality. So that's another one that wasn't directly related, but seems like maybe it could be helpful with your conversation that you had last month with, when being presented with an alternative building material, how do you determine whether that's acceptable or not? So we're providing some standard there, really related to quality and durability, and by way of warranties, examples, and specifications. So that's the quick overview. So we can go back. Oh, we probably should, if you were wanting to do the public hearing, that might be a good time to do that.
Okay, so I'm going to open this up for a public hearing, and look to anyone in the audience that has comment.
Sure. My name is Corbin Yelby, owner of 35 West Long Lake Road. My uncle Sonny Me, who also owns Bill's Fine Wine and Spirits at 41 West Long Lake Road. I'm the one who wrote you guys the letter I submitted to Amy. I believe she facilitated sharing that with all of you.
Yes.
Yes, we have it.
Oh,
Read it.
yes.
Thank you.
Oh,
So,
I haven't seen this. I mean, I guess I do see it, but I haven't read it.
I
So
guess,
which buildings are you?
the former PNC Bank right down the street at
Okay.
Long Boulevard, and the Hills Fine Wine and Spirits directly adjacent to the
Okay.
property.
Got it.
So I was notified by Giffords and Webster maybe Thursday or Friday of last week that this meeting was going to happen. So scrambled together a letter to summarize what we've been dealing with over the last years. I don't need to really reiterate and read the entire letter. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm an active commercial real estate developer and investor throughout the state and across the country. So I've presented publicly to numerous planning and city council meetings, and respect that you guys have a premium city to continue to uphold standards, and it's much different improving residential fences compared to going through these zoning ordinances. But we have met as a family with Giffords and Webster through the years of different types of uses, from carry-out restaurants with limited seating to full-service restaurants to potentially using valet services with nearby neighbors. Or our building is approximately 2,700 square feet. To the gentleman sitting second in line, mentioning the limitation on square footage, I don't really understand why there should be a limitation on size. Our building's 2,700 square feet. We've had to turn down numerous yoga studios, numerous Pilates studios, numerous dental offices, numerous orthodontics to either purchase the building from us or come lease the building from us. It's not really, that's not really understandable why there would be a limitation on size. I understand there's things within the zoning ordinance that have to do parking, depending on number of seats or number of chairs within a hair salon, et cetera, and that would all get figured out. You talk about gross usable square footage. Our building is a single tenant building, the one that has sat vacant for nearly 7 years because of all these issues with zoning. Would our square footage qualify as 2,700 square feet with a 2,700 square foot basement and a total of, I don't know, maybe 5,400 square feet, or would it be just 2,700 square feet? That's one question I have.
We're not gonna be prepared
Yeah, I'm
to.
just, you know, something that can get figured out. We've tried.
Is that all in this, I've not reviewed this.
Some
Some of it, yes, it is.
We've
It is.
tried, you know, my family has been here for 3 decades with the Shell gas station originally at the corner here before our owner redeveloped it, to our family having the wine shop since 2008. We've always been great community members. We understand what it is to be a business owner under a community and be good partners with the community. We're asking for you guys to modify this to allow us to fix a vacancy and a financial problem of allowing you guys to generate more tax dollars with businesses, create more jobs within the municipality. And another thing that I mentioned within the meeting is there was a daycare that operated since the 1950s. It never caused any issues within the municipality. We did a temporary office lease to ease the pain of the carrying costs of the building for maybe a year and a half tops. And since then, it's been non-conforming and no longer grandfathered in. These might be different issues than the planning commission, zoning ordinance, or the ZBA. I don't know the exact process, but for us to no longer be able to use the building as a bank with the drive-through when it was there for 50 plus years doesn't really make any, you know, sense for you guys as a city or us as a building owner when we bought the property for that particular use. And another thing I mentioned besides the size calculation is, you know, I've done many projects in and outside of Michigan, whether I was a part of it as a broker or the actual developer of the property. If a full service restaurant like a Joe Mears or a Bill's wanted to come to our property and we know and let's just say they were open for lunch or open for the evening, and we're agreeing to a parking easement with where Bloomfield Deli is or one of the office buildings to the rear of us, I don't think that's going to cause any traffic issues or congestion issues for the community. If anything, the community's going to be happy that there's another restaurant there to serve its residents when there is limited full-service restaurants here within the community. Even the way your zoning ordinance is written, not based on square footage, it could be based on square footage or number of seats. Even if a simple pizzeria like a Jet's Pizza wanted to go in our building, we technically don't have enough parking for that. We all know the common sense answer is there's enough parking for a Jet's Pizza for a building like that. So there's a lot of things within the zoning ordinance that has frustrated us over the years, and hopefully we can come to a common solution. And I'm not here to ask for anything and reiterate what I put within this letter. I'm here for you guys to continue to do this study. Why I'm just finding about this, since if this is in discussion since February, is kind of disappointing, but I'll happily be involved and work together as a team to try to work with you. And I've been involved in many cities where I own buildings where they're going through a zoning ordinance change and they're submitting letters to the property owners. We own 2 properties there. Neither property ever got a letter that there was a moratorium or that there was any zoning change. So if I never got reached out to by my friends at Gifford Webster, I would have never known this was happening. And potentially I could have got this rezoned and then limited to a 2,000 square foot restaurant or 2,000 square foot Pilates studio. So just, you know, speaking from my professional experience of the concerns we have for our property.
Okay. Well.
I know I said a lot, but just.
No, at this point, so we've got, as Jill explained, sort of this narrow focus right now on these proposed changes to the zoning ordinance. We're not changing zoning per se on specific parcels. You've got, it sounds like, some unique circumstances that run with the property. You know, we've got a pre-existing condition in terms of what was used, and then that changes over time if it's not used for that. And that ordinance is common in a lot of municipalities, but there's a lot of unique elements, and, I mean, it's just, I would encourage, you know, continuing to work with Jill, and you've got options. And, you know, there's parking issues, and you'd have to explore all that. What we're just looking at here is these specific changes, but everyone's listening to what you're saying, and we'll consider that as we're doing this. Because this isn't the end of this, we're just now looking at these targeted changes.
Sure. Yeah, and if I can just jump in and echo what Joe said, Mr. Yalder, you raised a lot of very good points. And I'm a little surprised that everything that you raised, you haven't already discussed with the city manager, who is very accessible. And
We have, over the years,
Okay.
maybe not directly him, but with Giffords, with Amy.
Okay, well,
As
and so
recent
it's,
as a couple months ago.
you know, as potential projects come up and you explore opportunities and maybe hit some headwinds, you know, working with the city it starts with the city manager and then your friends at Giffords. But as the chair pointed out, we're here to grapple with the evolving interests of property owners like you and your uncle, friend, whatever, uncle, all right, who have, you know, you've got two premier locations in the city, and you're right, we all want to see the PNC utilized. So working with the available, within the available ordinance and, you know, your rights under the ZBA and, you know, whatever it may be, don't give up. I know you're not, but truly engage with the city frequently, because we're all pulling in the same direction here. Okay?
For sure.
I really appreciate your comments.
Yeah, and whether it's fitness or medical or anything, you know, from my experience, you mentioned the point of, you know, oh, you're trying to limit things like LA Fitness or Equinox or something coming to town. I mean, they're not going to go anywhere unless they're tearing down an office building, and that's going to have the suitable parking, potentially based on the number of parking spaces and the square footage of the building. So I don't really think there needs to be a limit on size, but that's not for me to decide. Just
well, that's a legit, I mean, we are concerned about something that massive, so it's a challenge, right? And we'll figure that out. But to your circumstances and within the current city configuration, I mean, we all want to figure this out. So that's what we're doing here, in your part.
What's your timeline on continuing to go through this process? A few more months, a year?
That's a good question.
Just curious.
We take it a month at a time. So at this point, we're focused on these changes. Your property has unique circumstances. So the PNC building, you've got the floor upstairs, you've got a complete lower level that actually, if you look at there's no parking for the lower level, and you've got unique circumstances, and our ordinances address those. And, you know, they're designed so that if you fill up all of that space that's in there, it's probably, what, about 5,000 square feet?
About 5,400.
Okay, so so if you look at that building, it's not just the first floor, the entire lower level is finished too. So if you were to have that entire building occupied, there's not a lot of parking. I mean, I know that lot. That used to, I went to that bank for 30 years. So, and then the facility next to it doesn't have a lot of parking, and I think there's sort of a shared parking where you own both buildings. So my suggestion is you've got the open ears here with the city manager and with the planner. You got to come up with a use, you know, decide what you want to do, and then, you know, approach the city and see what fits. Do you keep the buildings that are there? Do you raise them in lieu of, you know, yeah, pardon me?
We need to keep the buildings economically. It's already cost us another $500,000.
You know, there's, you know, people tear down big buildings, expensive buildings. So those are all, I guess, decisions that you'll have to make.
And
To
just
Commissioner
share-
Hostler's point, at this point, we're just looking at these. There's a lot of, talent sitting across the table from us, and if you work with them, but with any development, you've got to have an idea. You got to have a plan, and that, someone came to us a year and a half ago to rezone a piece of property.
Yeah, the district first building.
Right, and they wanted to rezone it, but they didn't have any plan. And so it wasn't one person, several commissioners said, well, if you want to rezone it, let us know why you want to rezone it. And so I would offer the same suggestion to you. Decide what you want to do with the property and see what makes sense.
Sure.
But-
Yeah, just 2 more points and I'll, put that into it. Just to give you guys reference, you mentioned the basement and the basement, obviously since there was a bank there since the 50s, there's no first floor restrooms. There's 2 full-service bathrooms in the basement, a conference room, another vault, a kitchenette down there, and additional storage space. So this is a single-tenant building. So obviously it depends on the use. If it's an office use, I'm sure they could potentially use the bathrooms down there. If it's a future restaurant or a dental office, I'm sure you're going to need to install a bathroom and stuff on the first floor. But just giving you guys that context because she mentioned something in regards to the gross square footage versus the usable square footage, which would be the first floor essentially. And to your point, yeah, we have had those conversations, and that's why I'm explaining we've already. They can tell you in private rooms we've gotten turned down numerous times based on different things. And this isn't a raise and rebuild development; it's a repurpose of an existing building. So technically, if there's a conforming use, there's no site plan or special land use approval that we need to go to. It's just we sign a lease, they do their build out after they get their permits, and they open up. So that's the dilemma we've had when you're just a landlord with a vacant building.
Okay. All right.
Can I just make one comment so you know? Commissioner Cuter and I were involved a long time ago before the moratorium even came up. And I just want to say thank you for this. This makes the moratorium why we did it, is for something like this, for you to give us your feedback. But we looked at several buildings in the city, and one of them was the PNC Bank, remember? Mm-hmm. And we talked about that building has been empty for too long, and that's why we did the moratorium. So thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the time to do this. This is exactly what we wanted, to hear from business owners, building owners, your challenges for leasing a building. And, we're gonna, yes, today, this hearing is just about this, but as the, chairman said, come with a plan. Dave's office is always open. Okay?
Appreciate it.
So is Jill's. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay. So is there anyone else in the audience that has comment? If not, I'm going to close public hearing. And then I'm going to bring it back to this table, and we can start at one end and work our way down. Your meeting, what time?
7:30.
No, I know it. What time would you like to be out of here? Because I can see this will take literally hours to do this, because I have a lot of technical questions, with an engineer sitting there, an attorney sitting there, an economist sitting here, and a business. So there's probably a lot of discussion that may go into this. What time would you like to?
Amy,
The motion gave everyone till July 31st to have a recommendation back to the city commission.
so it doesn't need to be finished
Doesn't
today.
need to be finished today.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, my comments can really be presented in writing and submitted either to Amy, to you, I don't care where. It seems to me that would be an efficient way to just get everybody's written comments to a single source to be then digested and then disseminated back, consistent with whatever
That's a good
process is
idea.
appropriate.
That would be great.
That's a
And
great
then
idea.
maybe we could, and I apologize, I do have another meeting that I have to go to at 7:30 across town. But I'm staying here until we're done. But if we were done earlier, I would also be okay with that. So my suggestion might, if I just could,
Oh,
maybe
no,
just finish and then I'll
yep,
turn
yep.
it over to you. If there's bigger questions that we have, like why are you doing this or why are we doing that, that might be a good way to, and then if there's more detailed technical stuff, we could do that way. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna comment that if there is, an interest in submitting written comments, I would suggest that the written comments be submitted to the planning, consultant without copying everybody.
Okay,
Everybody submit their own.
right.
You know, with all due respect, some of this, I think you almost have to discuss. I don't wanna, you do this for a living, write memos. Me, I'm looking this, and I have a lot of questions, similar to Commissioner Arnold said, well, why 2,000? And, I mean, for us, if we end up communicating in writing and we're going in 10 different directions and everyone's asking similar questions, but we don't see the other questions, I think part of this process, in my opinion, should be dialogue. The basis for the changes in this city, and I've been doing this for a long time, the basis for what we do is the dialogue by the residents. And I think it's important that we have that dialogue. There's comments in here about what we're doing with the area. And I guess I think it's important that we dovetail back to understand what the language is in the master plan. I don't think we should be varying from language. We need to consider what the language says in the master plan. So we may have personal comments. So bottom line is, I think we should discuss this. There are things in here I could never get comfortable with. And so I'd like to go through them, you know, for whatever that's worth. And I guess, and we can do it in writing too, but I'd like to go through this too.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, I just have some clear edits to your draft that are easily delivered in writing, and I can do that to you. But I think that, well, it's a very good point that from a macro perspective, we need to, all of us, discuss what we're doing here. I mean, you've moved things around, and that's okay. But to Commissioner Arnold's point, you know, why 2,000? And to the member of the audience, you know, addressing sizes, I get it, we don't want a LA Fitness, but, I mean, where's the flexibility if we need something a little bit bigger that's not gonna, you know, blow up parking? And so, those are discussions that I think we certainly should have. And I don't know the procedure that fits best with the timetable and whatever compliance with OMA and your availability.
Yeah, I think, and I agree with both of those comments, and I was saying in terms of the big picture, like why are we doing this? We can get into the weeds on the specifics of the text, the technical words that are here, but I think just generally talking about what we're doing, even if we just start with the uses.
I think we should start out, frankly, let's start out from the definitions and work our way down.
Okay,
That's,
my suggestion for that then is we don't well, all right.
I guess that's what I'd like to do.
Yeah,
So, so with all due respect, we've been developing ordinances in this city for a lot of years. And typically what we've done is we had subcommittee meetings. And we would sit around the table and we would drive down into these issues, because with ordinances, one word can make a significant change in the impact on, And so, and some people will catch those. Commissioner Hostler is, you know, well-versed attorney. He's gonna look at this. And, you know, when I listen to him, it jogs ideas in my head. And that's why I think that dialogue is important. And so, I think just going through these definitions is important. But, you know, what I want to do, I think what we need to remember is this started out as a review of the commercial zoning. And it's evolved into something that's different. Well, that's my opinion. I guess I'm entitled to my opinion. We're doing much more than commercial zoning here. We're changing definitions of a lot of different things. We need to be mindful of, I may have personal preferences, but we need to be mindful of what the master plan says. And I just want to read for everyone's benefit. I said to someone not too long ago, well, look at the master plan, and they hadn't really looked at this in a long time. And I think it's important. I think this sort of capsulizes, and there's a lot of language here, but just in terms of the city center area, I mean, it talks about the intersection of Woodward and Long Lake. And it identifies, I'm not going to repeat everything here, but it talks about the current uses are predominantly office with some internal, small-scale accessory commercial uses, a few personal service establishments, a hotel, gas station, and restaurants. And it's been that way for as long as I've been going on this corner, which is more years, a lot of years. It talks about municipal uses, but then it talks about consistent with the resident survey results to limit commercial and office uses to what currently exists. The intent is for the city center to retain its current character of primarily office with some small limited supporting commercial to meet the convenience needs of the residents and the office employees within 1 or 2 miles. That's what our master plan says. And I mean, that's not here, but I think we need to be mindful of what this says. And then there's other dialogue here. So as we look at this, I just want to be mindful of what we're doing. Okay. Okay.
As well as current conditions.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get it.
I don't think personally, professionally, that there's anything in here that is opposed to that language.
And I think some of this is wordsmithing, but I think we need to.
That was the point that Commissioner
Yeah, so I think we need to go through, let's just,
I think it's the bigger picture of, are we going to, you know, allow these different uses? And essentially, are we gonna allow medical uses in the C1 district? Are we gonna allow, these health and wellness facilities? These are the things that we already have. We're just quantifying, like, identifying what they are, we're defining them, we're saying,
in honestly, as I looked at this, some of this really doesn't impact the way we develop the city or what businesses are entitled, what we can install. Because right now, you can build a health and wellness facility.
but it's not permitted in the city. It's not permitted by the
Well,
ordinance.
it depends.
And it's not permitted.
Well,
So that's part of what we're
well,
saying.
and maybe we can explore, that's what I want to explore.
Allow them, but how have we allowed them? They should be defined, we
Okay.
should say.
So
that
let's,
when Mr. Yalman calls and asks us, we can say, oh yeah, absolutely, you can do that.
okay, that's where going through this, Jill, I think will be helpful. So let's just go back to the definitions.
Just to interrupt you, I'm gonna.
Mr. Chair, point of order, public hearing's
Yeah,
closed.
no,
I'm
we've,
gonna respectfully excuse myself and let you guys privately have this conversation.
okay,
I appreciate
yeah,
your time.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, So let's go through the health and the wellness facility. So you're saying right now, you can't we have a business in the commercial district where, we,
So you have personal service establishments.
right,
Which says specifically, in calling out, such as but not limited to repair shops, watches, radio, television, tailor shops, beauty parlors, barber shops, interior decorator, or dry cleaner. The interior decorator is the one that I was like, it's a fun thing to have as a personal service, but, there it is. So,
this is loose language. It says,
it is very loose, so we're
it-
trying to clarify
it says-
what that means. A beauty parlor suggests a term that isn't typically used anymore. Maybe we would say a salon, and have,
Okay.
you know,
And when
a day
the
spa
physical
is-
therapy place came in, that was a big problem because there was no medical offices and remember Sarah was having a big problem with that. So that was shoehorning that business in. So I think this is very appropriate to recast it modernly. So I've got no problems with
I agree with that.
Yeah, I do
it's just
too.
the wordsmithing that.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
so health and wellness facility, that's gonna be allowed in a commercial and where is that
Yes,
allowed?
the proposal was to put it in commercial, C1, and then O1, and then by the estimated fact that it would be permitted in O2 as well.
Okay,
And that's why we put the limit on it. And again, it's a small studio by nature.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna object to the 2,000. We just need to figure out if there's a number at all, what
Yeah.
it should be.
Exactly.
It's more like, look at what are all of the chains, what's the smallest one of all of the chains, and it's probably gonna be something like 20,000 feet.
Absolutely, we can do that.
It's not gonna be anything close to 2,000.
I agree.
But
We're on the smaller side, just to introduce and test the large.
Get our attention.
so Randy, are you suggesting that, what are you suggesting, that it's gotta be a much larger number?
Yeah, I mean, if the intent, what I heard, the intent is the city commission doesn't want a Lifetime Fitness or LA Fitness or any of these large places, Equinox, whatever. So if we could just look at what are the typical sizes of those facilities, and then put the limit at 50 or 75% of what they would normally build, and then we won't get any of the big chains. If that's what we're trying to avoid. But saying it's 2,000, they wouldn't even sniff at anything that was
Right,
probably under
because
20,000.
It was, right, those wouldn't. The research showed that a small studio was 2,000 to 3,000. So again, to your rationale, let's go on the lower end for our discussion purposes. One thing that I would say too is, when we write zoning ordinance language, we want to anticipate the uses that we have. We want to plan for and provide for uses we have today, and try a little bit to anticipate what we might see in the future. We want to provide some flexibility, but we know that the zoning ordinance is not set in stone. I think it's important to remember that. It is intended to be a document that can be amended from time to time, and it frequently is amended in many communities. Because, sometimes we have an interpretation that comes up later that we say, someone comes in that's new and says, well, I don't see it. To your point earlier, well, this word could mean this, and everybody agrees that this is exactly what this means. And then 10 years later, 5 years later, somebody comes along and says, that actually also could mean this. And then everyone's like, oh, well, we should amend the ordinance and fix that, provide some clarity. Anytime that there is an issue where we are made aware that our ordinance is unclear and vague, we should look at it and see, is there something that we can do to improve the readability, the enforcement, and the review opportunities for the planning commission and city commission, so that you know what you're reviewing and approving. And so to that end, I would say, this is intended to be sort of a slow start, some smaller things that then we can do and then if we find that there are other things that we want to look at, then we build on to that as we need to. But again, this was intended to be pretty targeted to our findings, to city commission's original ask of what we do to support the office and commercial areas in the city center district. These are some of those things that don't have the effect of dramatic change, because this isn't enough time to do dramatic change. We can do that, but that's going to take a lot longer.
So, So with the yoga studio, do you have to be licensed to run a yoga studio?
No.
So I guess I'm looking at this, and this says, so when I look at health and wellness, it's unclear to me, there's two different things I guess I see. One is a yoga facility that might be some individual opens up in a 3,000 square foot area, or it can be a physical therapy, which I've been in a physical therapy setting, and it's, I don't know, 8 to 10,000 square feet, with lots of equipment, and it's a medical use. So is this supposed to be both?
Yeah, and to Will's point, you know, words, obviously, words matter. And the way that you've got the definition of health and wellness facility, it's rehab, et cetera, licensed by the state of Michigan as applicable. And then you continue, this may include but not be limited to, and then you reference businesses that don't need to be licensed. So it's kind of inconsistent. I mean, I don't know whether.
Revise that to say, license as applicable.
Yeah, whatever, but I mean.
It does say that. So if you need a license, you have to have one, and if your profession doesn't have a license, then you shouldn't.
Okay, but I mean, the way I read that, licensed by the state as applicable, and then you continue on with examples, and those examples may or may not require licensure. So, but as I look at these things, what I'm presuming we're doing here is we're trying to, if we're identifying businesses that are examples, that means we want them. And we want those businesses, those potential, property owners to come in and develop what we would like to see. I mean, maybe not because they're for examples, but we're listing them because we find them important and desirable. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't have an objection to yoga and Pilates and various studios. I don't know what a various studio is, but and is that something that a survey? I mean, how do we decide?
And to that point, not to interrupt, I looked at this and I thought, health spas, massaging, I guess.
You should have them already.
Well,
if you already have them,
okay.
we should acknowledge.
Yeah, I mean, physical therapy, absolutely. Right? 'Cause
I get, that's what I think of, is physical therapy, someone going to yoga studio.
I don't know that we have yoga studios, but we have day spas.
Yeah, so I got no problem with any of this here, but I think we need to be attentive to, are we talking about just licensed?
And that's what caught me, was the word licensed here.
Okay,
So,
we can
well,
modify
yeah.
that. We'll work on refining that so that it's more clear. And if it needs to be, I mean, it seems like something that's together. There can be different kinds of exercise studios. I think the idea is that they were in the same health and wellness category, right, as opposed to being a separate line item.
Examples of things that we want here in the city.
Right.
Yeah.
They can be separate, items where we're just drawing the distinction between licensed, such as physical therapy and estheticians and massage therapy and all that, and then a separate item could be the small yoga
I mean,
studio.
do we need to say licensed by the state of Michigan? If they need to operate, they're gonna get licensed. I mean, if they need a license.
Day spas and massage therapy in particular, yes, I think we need to
Just,
clearly state that they're licensed.
just for the discussion, I don't think there's anything wrong with the way this is drafted. It clearly says the license as applicable. If it doesn't require a license, you don't need to worry about it. What you're doing is you're grouping a number of uses that might expand existing marketing opportunities, but still consistent with the master plan, correct? So the focus of this is not on whether or not it's licensed. It's just gonna be, it's gonna be licensed if it's required to be
Well,
licensed.
I
So-
understand all that, and I just think that, to me, I read this and it was ambiguous. The examples here have to be licensed. And I think I know what you mean. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I think as applicable, that sentence, back to back, could be.
Yeah, it almost could be, the may include, could go before the part about
Yeah,
being licensed.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, you don't even need to reference whether it's licensed or not, just delete that. All these uses, if it requires a license, they're gonna need a license anyway.
Yeah,
It
right.
doesn't need to be
You
in
don't
the
need-
definition.
You don't need to even say it.
I, that's up to
Well,
maybe
you
further,
strike the massage.
further,
Yeah, I guess I
further
wasn't.
define
Don't even go there.
therapeutic
You know,
massage.
Would it make then, so if we could remove that.
We're drifting into territory.
But would it be helpful and more clear if we broke out the fitness studios from the other types of, or does it make sense to move massage,
I mean, health and all of that fits within health and wellness, I think, all of that, and so those are good examples, I mean, so I wouldn't get too tangled up.
It could be dance studio, karate, kickboxing.
Yeah, right.
Boxing, I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there today that people
Yeah,
do.
no, that, yeah.
A ton. So I don't know, you can't name them all, I don't think.
No, that's why we give those few examples, and then the category definition itself, to say, is this boxing studio health and wellness? Well, yeah,
I would
read
think
the
so.
definition, it sounds like it. And again, that was another reason for, the size restriction, is to prohibit some of the spaces being taken over by kids dancing studios and things like that. We've seen that happen in other communities where it's just, it's chaotic for the kids, the parents who are dropping kids off, as well as the people who are in the office, and they see all the little people running around in their various
Yeah,
little costumes and stuff.
and actually, to Lee's point, he raises suggestions I didn't even think about. So I was thinking of two things. Something that's, someone's gonna go to that's a smaller exercise facility like yoga, or more of a physical therapy. But to your point, there's lots of other things out there. And so where does that leave us with this? What should we do with this? Should we take,
Well, I mean, that kickboxing
I
and
mean,
that falls inside
I mean,
of wellness.
should this be a general, more of a general description, which doesn't, I don't know that you need, do you need all the examples, or should it be a facility that's designed for, you know, the physical well-being? I don't know, it should be.
Gotta give examples.
You gotta- Okay, I'm just asking,
No, no, I know, you're
I'm
right.
asking the question.
The examples help us, because today we know what they mean. But 5 years ago, or 5 years from now, there might be different people sitting here, and they might say, well, yeah, we wouldn't have thought that, like, we don't allow that, or does that, what does that mean?
Mr. Chair, I think for efficiency's purposes, I think we've covered this. I think the message has been conveyed. This might be a circumstance where we move to the next topic and encourage the members, if they have any other thoughts, put them in writing and send them to the planning commission.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah, keep in mind too, when you are looking that, we did in the office, so in the commercial district, we decided wherever they are. But in the office district, we did say that they need to be on the ground floor, of multi-story buildings, just for in case it was a kickboxing or some very high energy, jumping around kind of activity, that wasn't over, say, some kind of a very quiet office practice on the ground below them, so.
So let's talk about the next one then, office medical.
Yes.
So we allow medical in office, now we've got a new classification called office medical. So, I mean, what's the difference, and then,
It's basically all outpatient services, the way it's described.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I think your point here, but maybe just to add in, like, we already say it overnight, but, you know, you don't, these orthopedic surgeons, they don't do this in a hospital. They do it in outpatient surgeries. If you're having eye surgery, you're doing it in an outpatient building. So I think that's what you're trying to address here, is not the overnight medical that is, okay, that's
But,
what.
and that is something that we're definitely seeing more and more of the construction of those types of outpatient
Oh, they're all over.
surgical centers.
Yeah.
People really, I mean, they're great because you're
So, does it matter? So, if someone wants to, are we going, somewhere later, do we place a restriction then? So, if you want to have the outpatient facility, a lot of doctors, they do that outpatient work right in their office. And now we've set a separate category.
No, we have the same category, it's medical office.
But, so, do we need this definition? I guess I'm,
Because we had a definition for clinic,
okay,
but now it's all combined under medical office. We don't need to define it separately, and the only place that it was called out specifically is in the,
On
O1
page
district.
2,
Yeah,
medical and
the O1
dental
district.
offices, including clinics.
so,
So again, it's just clearing, it's making that more clear what we allow through the definition. But it's not a huge change.
Yeah, to me, it's an update to the way we think about it today.
Yes.
I agree.
And we are adding them into the C1 where they're not normally.
and I think that makes sense. I've had a couple of brokers ask me, why can't they put medical?
Right next door, they could do it,
They-
they couldn't in this district, and it's right there.
They want to go into the Dietrich site, you can't do that.
And we're up to the 2,000 square foot topic again. Is
We're
that,
gonna,
well, no, but that's, you've got the health and wellness facility up to 2,000 square feet, so
we're gonna talk about
we're gonna talk about that.
Okay. So, office professional. So, this stipulates that you gotta be a professional. So, if someone comes in who isn't a professional and runs a successful business, is that office professional? This says that you shall be, shall mean an office of a member of a recognized profession. I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of people that have businesses. I think a lot of guys sitting up here, a lot of the commissioners may have professional certifications, but a lot of people don't have professional certifications and may have a professional office. I mean, I'm not sure I understood that designation.
Well, I mean, it may be, and this is something that I had some comments on throughout, is, I like the examples, because I think that's important, because you're identifying the uses that you find significant and you want in the city. But I think to Walt's point, you preface, in this case, right after the word business, you would use what you did above, which may include but shall not be limited to, and then architecture, et cetera.
Good
And
idea.
that same reference is also added, we haven't got there yet, but personal service establishment, that, you know, second line down, related services including, and then same thing, include the, which may include but shall not be limited to. So you're not boxing yourself into those, and I got a big problem with your personal service establishment. But anyway.
So how do we fix this? So office professional shall mean an office maintained for the conduct of business, including,
Which may include but not be limited to, and then.
and we will
Mr.
strike.
Chair, bear in mind that this is just the definition of office professional. If you look at the office ordinance section, for instance, 2417, it permits office buildings for any of the following occupations: medical, executive, administrative, and professional office space. So it's not, more than professional offices are allowed in the district. This is
So,
just the
but-
definition of one type.
But why do we even need this?
But I was gonna say, we don't
I mean,
necessarily.
I've looked through lots of zoning offices.
It
I
was
built
in the
offices.
It was in the regulation, that's why it was defined.
The ordinance now
It-
says
it-
executive, administrative, and professional.
Exactly,
offices.
which
So
is a
let's
wide
just-
open range.
Right.
Um,
We'll just clean up the
yeah.
definition for office to include all those things, and then we can get rid of administrative, professional, and executive. one also.
Yeah, my hangup was stipulating that you need, that someone has to be a member of a recognized profession.
I think the point's been made.
Yep,
and
okay.
There'll be a revision.
Yep.
So why don't we move on to the next?
Just a suggestion, if you're gonna keep a list like that, you probably ought to have something about, finance and investments, since we've got lots of them around here, and that's not on the list.
That's a good point.
And frankly, honestly, I don't know that we had a problem to begin with. We can put all these examples in, but really, we didn't have a problem with offices. We did have one problem, and that was allowing medical in office. And I said that to, or medical and commercial. I said that to a couple people. And you fixed that. I think that's good. But, so, you wanted to go to,
Yeah, are we-
personal, professional?
Yeah, so, shall mean a use that provides non-medically related services, including, and then, to include but not limited to. And here again, we're talking about those businesses or operations that we want, so I guess we want beauty and barber shops, all right? I have no idea what, this maybe just is my problem, but I don't know what clothing rental means. And I don't know that we want, is that used clothing? Is that like a secondhand?
Tuxedo or something?
Oh, I was thinking it's tuxedo.
Like a
that's what I
tuxedo
assumed.
rental.
Right. Man, it's been a long time since I've been to a prom. So. Over my head, right? Well, if that's something, okay. Dry cleaning pickup store, laundromats. We want.
I don't think we
we're
want
trying to invite
laundromats.
laundromats.
Everywhere there's a laundromat, it's a hazard.
I wouldn't-
It's a hazardous.
Yeah,
I would
so-
strike laundromat.
I would
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure some of
Even
this,
dry cleaning.
you know, I don't see this in a lot of other zoning code. Not all this, not all this, I looked through a lot of them. Well, that's fine.
There's a difference.
What we find is easier is to have simple, because we're trying to clean up our list of uses. We have a ordinance and it has, it has a thing, well, we have other uses and then we explain what they are, the definition of what they are, we give examples. In the list of uses, the business owner just wants to know, what can I do here?
Yeah.
Retail, office, personal service, health and wellness. If you wanna know what anything that is, go to the definition. And so we can always rely on that. Now, certainly, you've highlighted a few things that we had in the definition. Let's get rid of that. That's not a problem at all. But it's helpful for understanding the code when we have examples.
Context, yeah, and again, these are what we want in the city, to give people ideas of their
Well,
businesses.
If your
But it's not limitation.
washer's not working, we'll have a water.
Yeah, no,
When
we're
you
not gonna
say
do-
dry
not gonna do
cleaning
that.
pickup stores, do you mean you don't do the dry cleaning on the premises?
Correct.
So, just to
Yeah,
pick
you don't
up.
want the chemicals.
You don't want
No,
chemicals.
you don't.
Clothing
What-
rental still seems odd, just like a laundromat seems odd.
Yeah.
It's not something you want to have. You
don't
may
want
permit it, but I wouldn't advertise
I
it.
wouldn't,
Want it.
exactly, right,
I would agree, it does seem odd.
Yeah,
yeah.
you may allow it, but I don't think you want to say we're looking for it.
Right, if someone said, can we open a tuxedo rental, we would say, yes, absolutely. We could probably put them in the retail or retail use.
Can you clarify the next question, and maybe it's just me? These uses may also include accessory retail sales of products related to the services provided.
So when you go to get your hair done and they have shampoos and sprays and serums and things, they can offer that.
Oh, besides just the service?
Right.
Oh.
A little bit of, it's just clarifying that you're allowed to do that. I don't know that it's essential in the definition here, because people probably just do and don't really think anything of it.
Mhm.
But being clear is just saying, yes, you can have that as an accessory use.
What
Let-
do you
let-
mean
let me
by
just-
limited retail established limited?
That was in section, permitted in the O2 district. And so it said that limited retail might be permitted, but we just were giving a definition for what that means, because it wasn't in there. So,
Is that the same thing as including additional accessory retail sales of products under personal service establishments that essentially mean the same thing?
restaurants within an office building. For
If it's intended like more like a cafeteria style, then maybe that would be, but if it's more of a restaurant, then it's gonna be a restaurant use, and that's permitted too. But it wouldn't be limited to retail, it would be something,
Yes.
it could be a restaurant. Does that make sense?
But it's allowed.
Yeah.
It's already allowed.
So I'm going to go back to the original definition, which is any personal service establishment that performs services on the premises within a completely enclosed building. These are key words. For persons residing in the adjacent residential areas. Now, you deleted those words. And, well, I'm just, did you think about why, and I'm looking at our master plan that talks about, I mean, it specifically says that these businesses are supposed to be servicing people within a 1 to 2 mile radius.
Right, that's already included in the intent of the C1 district, and I believe in the O1 district as well. So it's already covered, so we've already said what it's for. So we don't necessarily need to say it again. I don't know that we need to say a completely enclosed building for personal services, but we certainly can. We said it for retail.
Well,
If that's
so I
we
think,
can add that back. That's not a typical thing that I would see in a personal service definition, but if it's consistent.
well, I guess the question is, can you have people, could you have some outside service? Now, people may not know this, but 20 years ago, Starbucks wanted to go in, I think where the wine store was, and the city took the position that it was like a carry-out service. They would not allow Starbucks in that facility. And so, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but whether it's the type of business that you want and who it's appealing to. And so these words were in here to service people in the area.
Again, it is in the intent statement of the C1 district. These are designed to cater to the convenience, retail shopping of persons residing in adjacent residential areas.
Okay.
So to have it again,
Okay.
it's not necessary.
All right, I take your point.
But I think we can certainly add in a completely enclosed building for personal service, just because we said it was retail.
So what about gas stations? Is that number 13? Are you just plugging that in C1?
Where are you at?
Huh?
Yeah, well, they're not.
I'm not suggesting we need to reference it again. I'm just. Huh?
Where do you see gas stations?
I don't. It's not here.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's not here, and I know we're gonna get any more gas stations, but, and, you know,
But we have an existing one.
No, I know, but.
So you should have a category. I mean,
Well,
it should be under the zoning.
I don't know how,
Is
that's why I
that
said,
retail?
I would think it'd be under 13, but, well, no, but see, but this is, we're talking about this, because the gas stations are evolving. I mean, it's not just a gas station, it's a destination for a lot of things. And I don't really think we want, but I don't know, to see the mobile station develop into something that expands beyond its current services. I don't know, I mean, I wouldn't mind that, but I guess, I think I'm in the minority. But is that something we need to think about and
Does
talk
it fit
about?
as a retail establishment, though? Isn't that
Well,
what a gas station
it
is?
probably does, yeah, so it's a retail.
I would say something of that scale or impact. When the city gets the notification from the property owner, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, I'm not quite sure that I'm permitted to do it here. We might look at the ordinance and say, well, no, we don't actually have gas stations as a permitted use in our district. Maybe we need to add that. Maybe we need to make that amendment. I would try to, while that could happen, I don't know that that's one of the ones that we need to worry about today.
What about charging stations?
Charging stations, I think that we just allow those, do we not, as a
To Will's point, he raised, I think, an important issue. You see now gas stations, and, you know, there's a lot of different types. You know, if Sheetz comes in here and says, and they spend a lot of money buying their sites, if they want to expand that, and they're not gonna take that office down, but if they were just, and they need a bigger site than what they have right there, but not a whole lot bigger. I saw what they did in Fraser, which isn't a hell of a lot. It was a bank, and it wasn't a hell of a lot large. Pardon me?
Yeah, yeah.
Pardon me?
Big Daddy Center.
Yeah, I mean, so, and I've said to a lot of people, be careful what you wish for. And I said during our meeting 3 weeks ago, look at what Birmingham just dealt with, because the drugstore was purchased by the dollar store. And so, I think, you just need to be cognizant of those things. And so if someone came to this gas station, I drive by one every day coming home, where they took the gas station, and now they've got this big building, and it's not a Sheetz, but it's an independent investor who put in this big facility with a lot of traffic. How does that happen here? Because how do we control that?
Yeah.
How do we control a dollar store coming in?
We can control the dollar store.
Pardon me?
No, we allow retail. So retail is retail is retail.
Right.
But there are communities that have done ordinance language that speak to chain, certain amount of square footage. So there are ways that we can address the small discount.
I think we should do that.
I think the chain one is what's really important, don't you? Because I know what you're talking about. So if you think about the brand new gas station at Woodward and Square Lake on the northwest corner was a small little gas station. It's enormous now. Look at the gas station where it squares off at Woodward and Old Woodward. Do you ever see that gas station in the morning? That thing is got so much traffic coming in and out of it.
And plus what they have in there.
Is a drive-through.
They've got a drive-through in there, which
Yeah.
you may not even know.
Yeah.
I didn't know it until, pardon me?
I drove through it all the time on my way to work.
I didn't even know it was there,
I
Alice,
think-
until someone said,
Yeah,
well, let's
so-
go through the drive. I said, where? Well,
To the point being that Commissioner Hostler just said, you know, we don't want to get a lot of traffic. We don't want something where we're gonna attract a ton of traffic at Woodward and Long Lake Road. And I didn't know about the Starbucks, but that scared me. You know, so I think we're not really a chain community. Although Einstein's here and that's a chain. That's another one, you know, that it's a chain. We're not really that chain kind of community. We don't want, and when I talk to people around the community, it's not that they want us to be a bunch of office buildings, but they don't want it to be a bunch of, like, attract traffic.
I think, like, as a separate aside from zoning changes, it might be really interesting to gather up all of the property owners and talk about, like, independent businesses and how we can better support the recruitment and retention of local businesses. If you see a coffee shop that you're like, oh, you know, this is a great coffee shop, would they be interested? Hey, we have a great spot for you. Like, would you ever consider opening a second location or a third location here in Bloomfield Hills, where you're going with somebody who's already opened a business and is successful, and you're telling them, here's what we have available. Maybe it's working with the property owner to understand the properties and spaces that are available, or even, you know, we know that this area, like, that's a great building for a coffee shop. That's a great building for a small sandwich shop. And then go try, like, we can't all do that, go try to find these people, but you go places and you can ask people, and then if
honestly, we don't have really much of a problem with retail, honestly. The small area where the deli is, that's been full for as long as I've been there. And Jonah's site is full, he gets big rents, and it's all fully occupied. I'm more concerned about someone coming into taking Little Daddy's, the bank next door, and I lose track of the years, but it was on the market. It was only on the market if they kept a lease. It was a lease, there's a leasehold on it. But if there's well-to-do people that would look at that and as an opportunity, Sheets might look at that and say, not that I want to say that, we don't want that in the city.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't know, drive-through, right? Whether there's planning analysis that can preclude drive-throughs, because I mean, I see that, and I don't know whether this is city attorney exclusionary zoning, but from the guy who's just here and his little bank problem with maybe a drive-through option, to the Little Daddy's potentially becoming a drive-through, or the bank, I think we got to be attentive to that as a motivation for uses, and whether as a community we want to try to include that, or what they did in the examples, Woodward and Oak with that Tim Hortons. I know that the planning commission there, before they approved the site plan, it was an open air drive-through, and after a lot of backlash from the neighbors, they enclosed it to stop the lights going through the neighborhoods. And so, be careful about a clever developer coming in with a solution to the typical problems with a drive-through if they enclose it, right?
We don't permit that right now.
But you can preclude drive-throughs just.
So, for example, we've got the drive-through at the bank,
Mm-hmm.
at the Chase. They had to get special, we had to give them the right to do that, just so you know.
Okay, I don't know that, okay.
Bank drive-throughs are typically
But-
lower volume. They're not,
But we want to,
parking out.
Because I could see that bank across from Little Daddy's getting retrofitted as something else.
or someone just going in and buying that and doing something
Not drive-through restaurant.
big.
I wrote an article about drive-throughs for
Okay.
civil engineering.
Okay, good, well, you're the person.
It's good to know.
It started as, we should ban all drive-throughs everywhere all the time.
Okay.
It was tempered into, if we have to have them, let's have them in the right spaces, and let's have them be designed so that they're.
Which here is no
minimal-
spaces.
A minimal
Yeah.
part of our site, but.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I guess,
So again, but just to touch on that though, that and the other one, going and even kind of circling back to the very beginning comment about how we can get really detailed, we take a really long time doing amendments, and that's, again, why we're trying to be very narrow in what we're implementing to now. So we get through these, and if there are things like drive-through and drive-through standards, do we need to address small discounters, which we actually could do that with this one. We have a definition for it, and we could probably say that that's not.
Okay.
is
But
is
anyway,
it,
trying to stay
is,
focused on.
is there a reason to have these, you said somewhere it says retail establishment limited. Is that like just one word somewhere in the zoning ordinance?
Yes, in
It-
your
Could you just make this one definition, say retail establishment limit? I mean,
well, yeah, if
do you
if
need
look
two
on page-
definite?
Yeah, look on page 3. You could change it here. In section 24-132, number 2, additional uses shall be permitted after the planning commission finds they meet the following standards. C, of the character of a limited retail business establishment located, designed, and intended to serve only persons working within the office complex.
Why don't you just take out the word limited?
And just say, that's fine.
Well, and
It just gets rid of that definition.
Is there,
Well, I mean, okay, so if we're gonna get rid of that entire definition, because frankly, the last part of the sentence where it says clearly incidental and subordinate to the principal permitted use, I really don't know what that means.
You did, I so.
So we just get rid of it?
Get rid of it.
Okay.
Well, if an attorney doesn't understand it, usually you can make something out of it.
And I take it just assuming that the retail, the enclosed building means you can't put a tent up. Okay.
You can't keep stuff outside and
Right,
So we can't have fireworks stores?
no.
whole other topic.
Which is a reason, though, if you've got a retail establishment, where someone can't take their retail establishment, put an awning over it and start selling fireworks out of it. That's why you wanna say enclosed, right?
Yeah, and there are separate other rules about.
Yeah, but, and not just for, but just
Yeah.
by example, why it's gotta be
Yeah, like
under.
sidewalk sales or
Right.
tent sale, that would not be permitted unless, we don't allow that.
Okay.
And the reference to wares, that's just a recognized term, I mean, that's not, it sounds, goods and wares, it sounds a little antiquated to me, but I mean, if that's a term of art that, okay.
So now we're gonna combine this, so retail establishment shall mean an establishment for the retail sales of goods and wares within an enclosed building. Is that it? Which, in related products, or just leave it as that one sentence as it is?
Just the one sentence and get rid of the
Should be
last,
fine.
yeah.
Okay, I'm fine, I'm just trying to collect some. So offices, you've struck the words, "and offices of an executive, administrative, or professional use." So I'm gonna go back to the definition, so we've got offices. So, we've got the definition, office, comma, professional. Right, no, I understand, but, so we're gonna clean, because right now, you've got this reference to the professional, so that's gonna all get cleaned up then. So it's gonna be, this was a fine description, it may not be a broad description, but I thought it seemed to work. So we've got a bunch of added words here with all these professionals listed.
Right, that would be our definition. And then the reason that we would have, and I do see that I pull out medical, dental, and optical, because it's all in the medical office. And the reason we separate those is not as much for where they're permitted, because they're all permitted in the same places, but it's for the parking, which is higher standard for medical.
Right, and I get that.
We're not doing that.
Which would go to the use that's in the parking table, but,
Yeah, we're not gonna touch that.
so we've replaced on the words that you struck here. We've replaced those 7 or 8 words with these 2 different definitions, office medical and office professional. That's basically what we did.
Yeah.
If FedEx or UPS wanted to have a store here, where would that fit into one of these categories? You'd consider that retail?
Yeah, it could be personal service.
Okay.
What about a marijuana dispensary?
No, we did that right away. We did it when the law was passed. We have an ordinance against that, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. Good, but good point. There's a couple things, I don't want to get into this, but, I mean, bowling alleys, do we really need that? I mean,
Yeah, let's look at that.
you know, I mean, bowling alleys, the other one I had on here was public utility offices, telephone exchanges, and public utility substations. I mean, nobody does that anymore, you know what I mean? Some of this is kind of antiquated. Yeah.
Today would be data centers.
It would be data centers, exactly, with something we don't want, a good point. And I think on the hotel one, can we expand on hotels to, I don't know, well, I'm gonna ask you, because you're a professional on this. Huh?
Is that a bigger topic, though?
It is a bitter topic, so I'll write something up and send it to you. Is that okay? And what will help me?
Because we have that other report section, which I think you think is a good idea, because that's a weird place to have a use restriction,
Yeah,
and it seems like it should go in the zoning ordinance.
I think it should go too, so.
That way people know.
Am I allowed to work with Walt to talk about this, because we know the history on it, and then just send it to her? Yeah, that's all, just one-on-one, okay,
No quorum.
okay, got it. That just committed you, Walt, just wanted you to know.
Well, and I always defer to Will, he's the,
No,
Yeah, exactly, okay.
get everybody happy.
let's, yeah, I just wanna focus on these uses. So other uses in the determination of the ZBA. Yeah, I wanna look more closely at all this.
Yeah, we're gonna send her. our
Yes.
comments.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, purposes. This is under office, the Olin district. Oh, let's get back to this, so this 2,000, I had a question there too. So what are we gonna do with this 2,000? We're gonna follow Randy's suggestion, or in terms of the,
Identify, we're gonna call it local places, so instead of just doing like a broader national research, we're gonna look a little bit more closely at some of the places that are nearby.
So the 2,000 is gonna be a placeholder for the time being?
okay?
Yeah, I think the idea was that they were small, but we wanna make them serviceable and useful and practical too.
So, let's see one, so those same uses are available in both O1 and C1, okay? The office,
And then they would go to O2 as well, because anything permitted in O1 is permitted in O2.
and, so do you want that? Yeah, I mean, do you want, in an O2 office, do you want, do you want wellness facilities? I'm just asking the question. I mean, when you think about it, I don't know, I'll think about that. Okay? Not to belabor the issue.
So now we have parking.
We are
We're gonna-
off-street, are we gonna keep going,
Is that
or?
some- Are we gonna stop at parking?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
why
think
don't
it's a
we do
great
that?
idea.
That's-
Yep, I think it's a good idea. Okay.
So, how do you want to tackle this? I mean, this is gonna take more time to go through.
When's our deadline?
We got 2 weeks, basically.
Would you guys like more time? Would you like me to ask the city commission to extend that a little bit?
Well,
I mean, we're showing progress and working here, which is what we need to do for the moratorium, is you need to show that you're working and it's progress, and, would you like more time?
Yeah, I think jamming everyone during the summer here, I mean, because there's important issues.
I agree.
And
I love the deliberation, I like everybody's comments. I think it's really worthwhile.
We just have a little more time, not too much, but we need some more time.
So 30 days? August 31st, or do you want to go into September?
Yeah, that's,
You think that's?
End of August.
or maybe that's not, we can always extend it, I guess.
You can, as long as, the big thing with the moratorium that I've learned, it has to show we're making progress and that we're working on it. And that's what this whole thing is about. Is
Why
that
don't we
correct?
schedule- If you want to do subcommittee meetings, why don't we schedule them?
So if you wanna send me your comments hold that, but if I'm getting pretty consistent comments or, you know, individual things, yeah, I think this makes sense. I'll just revise this and then send it back out to you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
But you know what might be helpful, in my view, we've talked through this part of it. What we've done in the past is you take our ideas and let's update this language, and then we can review it, and circulate it. And,
Can I make your comments though first?
yeah, I don't, but I don't wanna start providing comments for anything we haven't yet discussed. So,
Bring up
personally,
to parking.
yeah, and if there's something more, if there's something in writing, I guess I'd like to see before I put something in writing with written comment. I think it's almost best that we have your framework before I feed something back. I'd like to almost see what you write. So you're gonna change some of this language?
Yes.
And then I'd like to see what you change. I mean, you don't need to hear more from me at this point. Change this, and then if we've got comments,
All of us do.
yeah, you can certainly write more, yeah, if you
Well,
wanna write
if
something.
I'm hearing you, so all of us are gonna have the opportunity to take advantage of it or not, to send you our thoughts. You're gonna take comments from whoever you get comments from. You're gonna assimilate that into a revised draft, and then you're gonna send that back
Yes.
to
And I
us.
would say also, just to put a finer point on this, I will include that in here where it's consistent with what I've heard you all talk about.
Yeah,
So if you
Right.
send me something that it's like, we didn't talk about that, I'm not gonna put that in, or maybe I'll put it in and I'll put it in yellow highlight.
and if it
I'll
means
say,
something,
here's
we'll
a
bring it
new
up
idea.
again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we have some deadlines? So like our input to you by, say, the end of this week?
That would be great.
You get something back to us by the end of next week?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't, is the end of this week, are you comfortable with that?
And for me, I bet if others aren't, that's okay.
Do we have all
I
this
mean,
in
we wanna,
Word?
we can't just take a month to do
No,
every cycle.
no,
right?
I
We've
get
gotta
it.
do
Yeah, can you, that's a good point. Can we have this in Word? So we can.
Yeah, it'd be good, then we could send you markup.
Yeah, we can send markup,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I don't, I mean, I know it was sent to us, but I. well, no, I
Is it
guess we
Word?
just scanned
I
it
don't
out.
know.
Yeah, so I need a Word.
So we're only dealing with these first two pages, right? Yeah, I'm not giving you, I'm not addressing, I'm not going into,
There's only 5 pages,
I mean, does it matter if we draft?
Yeah, send us
it
all
If
in
we've
Word.
got comments, we'll
and
send
give
them
her
to
our
you.
comments?
Yes.
The rest of
We
it.
haven't
Yes,
talked
I
about it
think
yet,
so,
but.
yeah, I guess personally, I look at, I mean, if we're gonna continue this discussion, I look at this whole parking situation. Basically, I got into the detail. If you look at our parking, we use the same criteria that, we're using the same criteria as everyone else. Our numbers are a little bit different. I'm uncomfortable, totally uncomfortable with just applying. I can tell you what a developer is gonna do is, they're not gonna go through and calculate their usable square foot. Yeah, and frankly, I think just making a wholesale reduction.
It is.
It is,
It is,
and,
but it's based on usable space as,
well, but what you're doing, so everyone else, I look at, I'm just gonna use, I'm gonna use township, okay? So, their medical office is the same as ours.
I know.
And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna reduce ours by 20%, and
Well,
I don't,
not necessarily.
yeah, you
If
are.
they give us a floor plan and we see that it's all, there's like a small closet that they use, well then they've got a lot of usable floor area.
Yeah,
So I'm not
but
giving up full
this
space.
language is incumbent on them to do that. And, I guess that's part of a longer discussion, and so I don't wanna start writing up a lot of language on
Let me
that.
just preface that part of it, and I said it in the memo, is that a lot of the ordinances that we shared with you are from communities that haven't updated their ordinances in a very long time. And so if we look at Bloomfield Township, for example, their master plan is older than yours, 2007.
Yeah, actually, they were drawn up about the same,
They've done-
theirs looks almost identical to ours.
They're, it's the same company.
I know it
That
was.
did it. But, and they haven't done that many ordinance amendments either.
Yeah.
outdated and probably could be updated, and I think we included Rochester Hills in there because we knew, they had updated standards, for, like, the last couple of
Okay.
years.
So, update if you want, go to where you want, and we'll get it in Word, and we'll address this in August, at the August meeting, and then I'll ask at the city commission for the city commissioners to extend it until August 31st. Is that okay?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Are we adjourned?
I have a question.
Okay.
Excuse me. I think at the last meeting, we asked legal counsel for a written opinion with respect to the basis for the moratorium. Have you, can you give us a status report?
I don't understand what you mean by the basis for the moratorium.
I'm sorry?
I said, I don't understand what you mean by the basis for the moratorium.
Unless
The
I'm,
basis for the moratorium is contained in the moratorium.
Well,
That
I mean, the city commission, he didn't do the moratorium. I think we talked about this. The city commission is the one who voted to have the moratorium. We wanted the planning commission to take a look at exactly what we're doing now. It wasn't him.
Maybe Amy could give him the motion. That might be helpful, because there was
Yeah, we can give you
a
the
couple-page motion that Mark drafted. Maybe that would help you too,
Yeah.
because that was the basis for.
am I imagining, or did we not have a discussion at our last meeting about it might be helpful to have a description of the legal basis for the moratorium?
You had that discussion, and I had the same question, because I'm not sure what you mean by that.
The legal
There's
description
not a
is the.
statute that says you can do a moratorium. I'm not understanding what you mean by the legal basis.
I think that, with all due respect, I think the suggestion by the two of you is exactly what he needs to say.
Okay, we'll send it to you.
We'll have
No problem.
Amy can get it to
Yeah,
you.
we can get it.
Right.
Yeah, no problem.
And it
Yeah.
explains why and what the intent is and all of that.
Would it not be helpful for all commissioners to
We
receive
can send it
this?
to all of you, yeah, if you want it.
I mean, I don't want to be the only,
Yeah,
I just thought that was a,
it's a public document, so I think we're fine. Yeah, it's a public, yeah. Yeah, we're just,
I guess I misunderstood our discussion at the last meeting.
that's okay. We'll get it to everybody. It's not a problem. All right, we got another meeting in 5 minutes.
We adjourn?
Yep, we adjourned. Motion to adjourn.